Hello, everyone. Welcome to History with Hersaphat. I'm your host, Chris, aka Hersaphat. Today, we'll be continuing our discussion of the decade that was the 80s with the year 1987. The views shared on this podcast come from your everyday, ordinary people. My hope is that it'll give a unique perspective on history. Future podcasts will be doing the years 1988 and 1989, finishing out the decade of the 80s. And for those that listen to our podcast via Spotify, Apple, or Google, we also have a YouTube channel showcasing a number of top-notch videos highlighting some borderline funny moments from our podcasts for your viewing pleasure. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. Today with us, we have Brad and Nick back again. Yay!
Yo.
Oh, hey, everybody.
Hello. Yep, they're all very happy to see you or hear from you. Good to have you guys back again. We'll jump right into it. Weird news of the week from the New York Post, as we do from time to time.
Of course.
The title of the article is "I sold my home for a facelift. Now I look fabulous, but live in a van."
Wow.
The first line,
Incredible.
well thought out.
Yes.
First line of the article is "Life in plastic is so fantastic that one cosmetic surgery patient was willing to live on the road for it." A 50-year-old woman has revealed that she underwent a facelift at the cost of her 3-bedroom house, selling the property in Arizona so that she could afford the $14,000 procedure, according to Southwest News Service.
It's very American.
$14,000 is all she got for her house?
I don't know.
3-bedroom?
Yeah.
That must have been a shithole.
I don't know if that's... Well, let me read on. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Kelly Beasley, a blogger who lives in Lake Tahoe, California, now travels in a van since selling her house, but has a fresh new face to show for it and wants to end the shame surrounding plastic surgery. Around 48, my face started dropping fast, Beasley explained. The changes were astounding. She claimed that getting other injectables like fillers, which she had been getting for the past 15 years, wasn't going to make a difference. So she sold her pad as a cushion to cough up the cash. "The results are beyond what I expected," she said. "I didn't expect to look younger. I'm loving my look and looking my most fabulous that I can." The 50-year-old explained that when she came to the conclusion that she wanted to get the procedure, nearby plastic surgeons quoted her work at $50,000 to $60,000. Then she saw a woman on TikTok who had gotten the procedure done in Tijuana, Mexico, for just $14,000 and great results. So Beasley joined a Facebook group for EOC Plastics, an organization that helps others coordinate plastic surgeries in Mexico. She started looking at other women's experiences and decided to sign up to be put on a cancellation list. Beasley was notified of a cancellation this past January, but didn't quite feel ready. A month later, they had another one. Beasley explained, "I thought, let's do this." She continued, "It was on February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day to me." Beasley traveled to Tijuana on February 13th, just one day before she went under the knife, and endured a 4-hour-long surgery, which involved taking fat from her thighs and putting it into her lips and her face. In the end, she went for an extended facelift, neck lift, lip lift, and fat transfer from her thighs. She spent 6 days recuperating in a hotel in Tijuana and then drove back home to the United States. Beasley compared the whole ordeal to being on a vacation. "I woke up with the head wrapped in a giant crazy bandage," Beasley recalled. "I started taking pictures immediately." The 50-year-old claimed that she didn't feel any pain and instead only experienced discomfort. So far, she is loving her new appearance, although she admitted that it does take some time to get used to the changing looks. After about a week and a half, I had a mere "oh crap" moment, she said. "Your brain is having a hard time adjusting to your face." But now she's a big fan and believes that the procedure took 20 years off of her appearance. She even said that she prefers her looks now than when she was 30 years old and is having fun putting on makeup again. Beasley wants to share her journey in hopes that others will stop the shame surrounding plastic surgery. "If we do too much, we're vain or insecure," she said. "If you don't do anything, wear makeup or do your hair, they say you've let yourself go." The plastic surgery patient described it all as exhausting. "I'm going to do what I want to do," Beasley said. "Why not live the most fabulous life? Part of that for me is having plastic surgery." Where is that? So that's it. That's the end of the article. Where's the talk about the van? Did you hear anything
Weird.
about a van?
No,
I hear-
yeah, the van? No, well, no. I think I I
Starts
mean,
selling her house and now travels in a van.
Also,
But
the
I-
costs don't add up or anything.
None of that.
right.
I
I'm wondering when she was put in the hotel to recuperate in Mexico, did they like hook her up to like fluids or something? Just like kind of sat there with a bandage around her head.
Probably just some painkillers, I would imagine.
Right.
Well, that's probably because all the massive amounts of painkillers they have you on. Good lord.
I don't know. Good for her though. I'm glad she's
Right.
having a good time.
I mean, there's pictures and stuff. I mean, we're gonna post it in the description
Right.
video. But man, this I don't know if this
I mean, that's a hell of a life choice, right?
50 years
To,
old.
right.
Yeah.
It's I don't know what, yeah, like Brad said though. I mean, if she's happy, I guess then that's what really matters. But also at the same time, it's just nothing I would do. Right.
Sure. I
Not
mean,
yet.
Never. No. Well, plastic suit. Well, yeah, not yet. Yeah. There's some time. Give it some time.
Yeah, I just don't understand where the video or the van comes from. Like living in a van. Why
Well,
she's
and
home, but why doesn't she just get a new one? Why doesn't she get an apartment? Fuck, rent an apartment. Something. Why is she living in a van? What's the necessity?
because
for
it
living?
seems like she had spent pretty much all she had on the plastic surgery in Tijuana.
That
it
would
was
make
only it was only like 14,000 though.
Right. Maybe she spent the rest of what she had on some shitty van and just drives that around.
Yeah,
and
or
didn't
she
really
just
want
sa-
to.
yeah,
wants
or
to
she
elaborate
just,
on that?
Maybe she just saved the rest of the money and she's just
There you go.
Yeah, maybe she didn't like the confines of a home, so she
Sure.
thought maybe like a mobile
Wanted to be a
home.
nomad,
Mobile
but a
home,
really
huh?
good-looking nomad.
right.
Yeah.
She's probably doing it just for clout, you know.
Clout.
Sure.
Everything for the clout. Yeah, I just don't. Maybe the hotel in Tijuana was really expensive.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
Just really pricey.
it's really pricey Tijuana hotel.
It's like 12 grand for 6-7 days.
Right, absolutely. All right, guys, thank you. That will do it for Weird News of the Week. All right. We will now move into a little personal favorite of ours, the timeline section of 1987.
Up to Schultz. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Remember this face.
Good morning, everyone. There appears to have been a very serious accident involving the Space Shuttle Challenger.
What you talking about, Will?
Good evening. Millions of people mourned the tragic death of John Lennon today, the young and the middle-aged.
There has been a nuclear accident in the Soviet Union, and the Soviets have admitted that it happened. The Soviet version is this.
Where's the beef?
Astonishing news from East Germany, where the East German authorities have said, in essence, that the Berlin Wall doesn't mean anything anymore.
Afternoon, everybody.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
And on January 31st, 1987, The Cure for Insomnia premieres at the School of the Art Institute in Chicago, Illinois, to officially become the world's longest film according to the Guinness World Records. At 5,220 minutes long, the film has no plot, only consisting of artist L.D. Groban reading his 4,080-page poem, A Cure for Insomnia, over the course of 3.5 days, spliced with the occasional clips from heavy metal, pornographic, and instructional cooking videos. So he actually, yeah, that's the thing. Basically, that's the entire movie is just him reading from his poem, and in the middle of the poem, like you'll just randomly get these clips of heavy metal, like music videos, and then pornographic clips, and instructional.
It's
cooking videos.
art. It's
wow.
art.
Yep.
I guess so. Man.
I suppose that is a cure for insomnia. There's no way you don't fall asleep to that.
Mm.
All right. February 6, 1987, Sonny Bono announces his candidacy for mayor of Palm Springs, California. He would celebrate the occasion by going on a 3-week ski trip across the Alaskan wilderness, a trip he would repeat until his death in 1998 via skiing directly into a tree. On March 4th, 1987, U.S. President Ronald Reagan addresses the American people on the Iran-Contra affair acknowledging that his overtures to Iran had deteriorated into an arms for hostages deal. Reagan would reassure the American public that the Star Wars project, however, was still the top concern for his administration, claiming it would be operational before his term's end or his name wasn't Ronnie Fuck Around and Find Out Reagan. On April 19th, 1987, The Simpsons cartoon first appears as a series of shorts on The Tracy Ullman Show. What otherwise would have been an innocuous event would be the birthplace of one of, if not the greatest TV show ever created of giant rabbit people with gambling debts. On May 11th, 1987, Klaus Barbie goes on trial in Lyon for war crimes committed during World War II. Following the guilty verdict, Klaus's dolls were immediately pulled from store shelves across the United States. Today, they are only available via the black and Facebook markets. On June 19th, 1987, Teddy Seymour is officially designated the first black man to sail around the world. When he completes his solo sailing circumnavigation in Frederiksted, St. Croix of the United States Virgin Islands. Upon completing his journey, Teddy was confronted by the local police and placed in jail for failing to yield at a buoy and resisting arrest. Yeah. On July 31st, 1987, an F4 rated tornado devastates eastern Edmonton, Alberta. Hardest hit are an industrial park and a trailer park. 27 people are killed and hundreds injured, with hundreds more left homeless and jobless. The hundreds more ending up in pretty much the same spot they were before. On August 4th, 1987, the the FCC rescinds the Fairness Doctrine, which had required radio and television stations to present alternative views on controversial issues. Upon hearing the news, a bloated, greasy, opiate-addicted Rush Limbaugh, with the help of Rupert Murdoch and Roger Ailes, would be released from his demonic torture sex dungeon to speak to the ignorant masses. That's actually a big deal. The FCC rescinds the Fairness Doctrine, which allows, news and radio, TV to just go crazy in one direction and not show alternative viewpoints.
Oh yeah, right. Be extremely biased.
News and MSNBC and all the other, this is what we are, and they don't even have to bother showing an alternative viewpoint anymore. So,
like Hannity and Combs tried, dude. Hannity and Combs tried.
Hannity,
they gave it their best.
Call that show Fairness Doctrine. That's what they should do.
Right.
All right. On September 17th, 1987, Pope John Paul II arrives in San Francisco for his first visit to the city, in which he embraces several AIDS sufferers, including an infected child, and proclaims abstinence from illicit sex and drugs are the two main ways to avoid infection. When confronted with the fact that the child he embraced engaged in neither illicit sex nor drugs, Pope John Paul responded with, "Well, he's Catholic, so I'm certain he's been run through by a few priests by now. Hell, I probably placed those priests at his parish."
Oh my God.
God damn.
On October 14th, 1987. Yeah. October 14th, 1987, 18-month-old Jessica McClure falls into a well in her aunt's backyard in Midland, Texas. It would be a story that would capture the nation's attention, including that of Ronnie Fuck Around and Find Out Reagan. Jessica would be rescued from her predicament 2 days later, only to come out as a little boy named Timmy O'Toole. On November 22nd, 1987, unknown perpetrators hijacked the signal of WGN-TV in Chicago for about 20 seconds and WTTW for about 90 seconds, displaying a strange video of a man in a Max Headroom mask. To this day, the perpetrators have never been caught.
Yeah. You can watch that on YouTube. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really
disturbing.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
And is it, some guy's getting like spanked or something? Some kind of weird sex thing was going on with that too. And
WTTW. No. Yeah. Absolutely. And on December 18th, 1987, the gaming franchise Final Fantasy makes its debut in Japan. The series would go on to sell millions of games and merchandise, along with racking up numerous awards for its phenomenal musical scores and innovative gameplay and groundbreaking RPG development. Seemingly the only award the series has thus not received is a Razzie, although not for lack of trying, with the critical and commercially panned Final Fantasy The Spirits Within, released in 2001. That will do it for our timeline of
the worst.
Yeah, that Pope John Paul joke. Because that was his speech. That's what he said. That was the best way to not get AIDS is to avoid illicit drugs and sex. And he's like, well, he just hugged a child that had AIDS. I don't know. He had nothing to do with that. So what's the plan for him? What's your reasoning? And so I was just like, well, I guess if there's anything, think illicit sex with the child, well, that's definitely
right.
So that's like a a slow pitch right across the plate.
Yeah.
Then I have to make those priests to other parishes to do the same thing. All right, so that will do it. Yeah, for the timeline. Thank you guys. Thank you. And without further ado, that one's for Aaron because he loves that phrase. Without further ado, we will now move into our movie section of the podcast with movies of 1987.
I am your father.
Fuck you, asshole.
Inconceivable.
That's right, boys. It's Dr. Venkman.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Nice fucking model! I work for Dick Jones! Dick Jones!
Game over, man. Game over.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Here's Johnny.
I'm going to cut all this out because I forgot to bring up entertainment. I've had 88. Okay.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. All right. In the top 10 movies in terms of gross for the year 1987, number 10, classic fucking movie. Classic movie. Predator.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so good, man. So
Oh, yeah.
good.
You remember watching it for the first time? Any sort of memory? If not, do you have a highlight?
No, I remember watching it for the first time, me being a little kid with my dad, of course, and I'm sure my brother and sister were there too, but there's that scene where the Predator's like polishing the skulls of like his victims. And I'm like, Dad, why is he saving the skulls? And my dad's just like, oh, those are his trophies, son.
Oh, those son?
Those are his trophies. He's hunting them for sport.
Yeah.
Don't go to bed on time.
He hunts humans for sports, son.
Yep, pretty much.
He's coming after you next.
Oh, well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I saw this movie until I was in high school, actually. And I believe it was over at Sly's house. When we watched it, we would... I think the first time I watched it, we shut off the volume to it, so it was just silence. And then we would just make up words as they were saying, as if we were doing the ad-libbing for them, and see if we could get the mouths to match up with what we were saying.
Oh, yeah. That was so much fun. That was fun to do.
Things you did before the internet was big. But I remember I remember really liking it and being like, holy shit, this is actually a pretty good movie. I wasn't expecting it to be, but it was entertaining for sure. A lot of great one-liners, a number of future politicians in that movie. Obviously with Arnold Schwarzenegger being the governor of California, and Jesse Ventura,
Yep.
being was he governor of Minnesota, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah, and Carl Weathers isn't getting anything, but he can make a hell of a soup. Or
It's a stew.
stew. Sorry,
Hell of a stew.
hell of a stew. And I don't remember the other guy. I don't think he ever did anything.
Bill Duke.
Yeah, maybe, probably.
Who's
I think
the other black guy?
Yeah, he's like in other movies, but I can't remember.
Yes, he is.
What else he's in. But he gets the predator laser shot through his head, and it's just got that red goop. Like he's like
Yeah.
climbing through like a log, trying to get like a good shot because he thinks he sees him. The predator's literally just standing on the log, invisible, just like waiting for his head to be there. He's like, there he goes. All right, he's done. Pretty great. I thought it was really cool when Arnold had to put on this mud. He realized that he saw it through heat vision, so he was all covered. I was like, oh, that's just interesting. Infrared, I guess.
Oh yeah, when he puts the mud on and he's just like, "Wah!" just like roars into the night.
Yes.
Pretty badass.
Yeah.
Oh, ugly son of a bitch, or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. God.
Mhm.
What about Nick? You got anything for Predator that stuck out to you?
I mean, I don't really remember watching it for the first time, but I'm sure that when I did watch it for the first time, it was probably like on TV, right? So it's
Yeah.
probably like edited and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I had watched it recently, maybe like a couple years ago, and it's
Yeah.
just a great movie.
Oh,
It's just something about just that whole trope that just had there's like this aesthetic, this feeling to watching the movie that it's like a war movie, but a horror movie, and action movie and a suspense movie. It's like it has all these different things all in one. And it's also very philosophical in a way to where, you have this outside race that is, you know, obviously not from this planet that is a threat, and it's just humans kind of dealing with that in that setting and being hunted by it, and then kind of adjusting and adapting to now they're hunting it, by the end of the movie, which just ends up being, I'm just going to spoil it, just Arnold at the end. It's the famous, get to the chopper. Well, there's someone else. Get to the chopper, there's the famous, if it bleeds, we can kill it, that sort of thing. Um, yeah, it's such a great film. Honestly, it's another timeless film.
I think it still holds up too, and
It does,
today
yeah.
special
The
effects and all.
the invisibility definitely looks like a little strange, but I mean, it was good for its time for sure.
Mhm.
But
Absolutely.
the practical effects were the best thing about that movie, with the face of the predator like without its mask, and then he's like, "You ugly mother," all that.
Yeah.
But that was so good. Like when you were young, like that freaks you out big time, and whew,
I remember
crazy
seeing
stuff,
Predator face for the first time and being like, I was not expecting that. That is, yes, he is
right?
one ugly mother. Holy shit. Well, that was number 10 for 1987, the top 10. Number 9 was the movie the Witches of Eastwick, which is Jack Nicholson and like Meryl Streep, I believe, or maybe not. I don't know. I watched it once. I didn't really care for it. It wasn't for me. I'm sure it's has a special place in somebody's heart somewhere, but not mine. So, and I'm pretty sure neither one of you have seen this movie. So
Never
we
even
can,
heard of
Nope.
it.
yeah, we move on. All right, number 8. I can't even recommend it. So there it is. Number 8 was the movie Lethal Weapon. Lethal
Hmm.
Weapon. That one was that wasn't bad. As a classic, like the saxophone in the background
Hmm.
music. It's Always Sunny does that really well.
Hmm.
It was interesting because it wasn't like a standard cop buddy buddy sort of deal. Like Mel Gibson's character is like suicidal at the beginning of the movie. He basically spends the entire movie trying to kill himself in some fashion.
Huh.
Right.
He realizes that at the end that he just doesn't want to do it. But like the first half of the movie, you're kind of worried he's just gonna blow his head off. But yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's a him and Danny Glover work really well together, play off each
Hmm.
other. Um, it was a good movie, I thought. Now are the next 900, or I don't know how many there are, but the next
Right.
any good? Not as good. Diminishing returns. I think when they got Joe Pesci in the movie in like the mid '90s, uh, and the bad guy was Jet Li. I think that was the end of the movie. Like Lethal Weapon 4, I think that was. Yeah, that's no good. But Lethal Weapon, pretty good. Have you guys ever seen those movies?
Yeah,
No.
I've seen the first two or three, I think.
Yeah.
The first one, like you said, it's not bad. It's just the saxophone is just corny. It's just cheesy.
Hell yeah.
And so yeah, it's fun to watch. It's a fun movie. Um, but like, as you said, diminishing returns big time.
Oh yeah.
Like it's almost not even worth watching the other ones. Just watch the first one.
I agree. I agree. All right. For number 7, the seventh highest grossing movie of 1987 is a movie called Stakeout. Never even heard of it. I looked into it. I've never even heard or seen anything from this movie ever. And I can imagine neither one of you have. So we can move on to the next movie, which is the number 6 highest grossing movie in 1987, which is The Secret of My Success. Now, that movie's the only reason I even know that is because It's Always Sunny, as Michael J. Fox is in it, and it's got that Day Bow Bow song. The
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's funny.
yeah, they
They're
reference
referencing that. Yeah.
in episode D
Okay.
has a heart attack. Sweet D has a
Yeah.
heart attack. One of my favorite It's Always Sunny episode. So
Oh,
do you
for
like my
sure.
Secret of My Success? You sure that's how it happened? Yeah.
Yeah. Because at the end of that episode, they actually have the Pepe Sylvia.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
that's
just
fun.
it's such a good episode. I love when he calls him in his office. He's like, "Hey, it's Mag." He's like, "Yeah, who the hell is this?" what the hell are you doing in my office?
Right? He just goes, tell me your name, sir. He just goes, just hangs up the phone.
Yeah, it slowly hangs up the phone.
That's Glenn on the phone. Glenn Howerton or whatever his name is.
Right. Yeah.
Dennis. Yeah, I did find
Right.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the secret of my success. I'm pretty sure Michael J. Fox swindles his way into like a company, lies about his age and God knows what else, and then sleeps with some woman, and then manages to come up with a great idea to save the day at the end of the day, and he makes it big. It's basically it's an '80s movie. It's corny. I wouldn't necessarily watch it, but if you like Michael J. Fox, go for it. All right, the fifth highest grossing movie of the year 1987. This is a good one. I really like this movie. The movie The Untouchables. Have you guys seen The Untouchables? It's a Brian De Palma.
Long time ago. Yeah.
No, never saw it.
It's a mobster gangster movie. You don't like those, so I suppose why you wouldn't. Yeah, but The Untouchables is about Elliot Ness and Prohibition with Al Capone. Robert De Niro playing Al Capone, doing a fantastic job. The music is strange, of that era, like the 20s.
Yeah.
It's got I don't know, got an odd off feeling to it. Sean Connery's in it, which is really funny. He's a cop. He's like talking about if Capone stabs one of your men, you send him his to the morgue or something like that. He puts yours in the hospital, you put yours in the morgue. That's how you get Capone. That's the Chicago way. Like, all right, man, calm down.
Jeez, relax, man. Can't just use diplomacy.
No, not in Chicago. That's the way you get Capone. There was somebody who's like a low rent Rick Moranis. I remember that in the movie. He's like the accountant or something with the group. He doesn't really. He's a short little guy with glasses. He doesn't seem like he's ever fired a gun in his life. But they've got him coming along with The Untouchables, and Kevin Costner does a great job, and like I said, Sean Connery's really good in it too.
That's the movie where like the stroller is like going down like the
right.
Yeah, and there's a movie, I think Naked Gun, that like makes fun of it.
Oh yeah,
where there's like a bunch of strollers going down.
It's a classic scene.
Yeah, it's a classic scene. Yeah,
there's a bookkeeper who's basically going to be testifying against Al Capone about tax evasion, and he's getting off the train, and they know that he's going to be potentially there's going to be a hit out on him.
Right.
So, Andy Garcia, I believe his name is. Who's a young Andy Garcia in the movie. He's like this young hotshot kid with who joins the force as well. And there's this woman who like drops her baby like carriage because of all the noise and whatever, and the carriage just slowly goes down the steps while guns firing around it and bullets are going through, but the kid's okay at the end.
Right. Yeah, it's so suspenseful because there's a gunfight going on.
It's really good. It's one of the best scenes in the whole movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But if you've never seen The Untouchables and you like mob movies, I recommend it. I really do. All right, we'll move on now to the fourth highest grossing movie of the year 1987, Three Men and a Baby. This was the idea for this movie. It wasn't just one man, it was two men. Three men and a baby. One of the things about this movie is for many, many, many years, a lot of people apparently thought there was a ghost filmed in the background of one of the scenes, and it just ends up being a cardboard cutout of Ted Danza? Not Ted Danza. What's his name? I'm thinking of Tony Danza. What's his name? Becker.
Yeah.
God, he's in Curtain.
No idea.
Oh, he plays Cheers. He's the lead of Cheers. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts.
Ted Danson?
Ted Danson. That's it. Not Danza.
Okay.
Ted Danson. Yes.
And Zen.
So Ted Danson is in it. I can't remember who else is in it, but
isn't Tom Selleck in it?
Tom Selleck, yeah.
Yeah.
Cardboard cutout of Ted Danson in the background. A lot of people thought it was a ghost. Yeah. Number I mean, other than it being like just kind of like a funny comedy for the family.
Is that
go on?
Is that the one where the baby's like going through a construction site and?
No, that's Baby's Day Out.
Oh, okay. Well, that movie sucks. I don't really remember Three Men and a Baby.
No, you probably. I mean,
it's forgettable. I'm sure.
The thing is, it's three men and a baby in that one, but it's three men chasing a baby to hold them for ransom. This one is just them trying to take care of it, and men aren't doing those.
Oh, okay. It's funny because men are incompetent in that regard.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. It's 2-3 guys to change one diaper, while the baby laughs and the men are like, "Oh boy," it's
Right.
stupid. So, all right, number 3, the third highest grossing movie of the year 1987. Number 3 was the movie Platoon. Platoon. This was an Oliver Stone film, I believe.
Yes.
We kind of talked about it for a moment last time. I don't want to spend too much time on it now. So I think we talked about it in 86 because I put it down as a personal selection of mine. It did so well, it made it in the top 10 of 1980. So, pretty much, I think we talked about it last time. We can just kind of move on. But number 2 was the movie Fatal Attraction. Have you guys seen that movie?
Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction. It's got
one of the Douglas.
Yeah, Michael Douglas and what's her name? She was Cruella de Vil in the live action 101 Dalmatians.
Cheryl. No. Emma. No.
No idea. No, I have no. I don't know.
God damn, that's gonna bug me. I have to look that up. Glenn Close. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Glenn Close is has an affair with Michael Douglas, and she goes off the deep end because he basically like uses her and leaves her, and this is a one night thing. This is the sort of thing, and no one says no to me, and all this stuff. At one point, one of the more famous scenes is that she takes their family pet rabbit and puts it in a boiling pot for them to walk home to and see that the rabbit is alive. Yeah. That was to get his attention. I think it worked, but it just gets crazier and crazier. Like, it makes people like, I think for like a little while there, people thought twice about having affairs. What if she wants to boil my dog, or cook him, or something? Right. It's craziness. She just goes off the wall. But she does an excellent job. She's fantastic in the movie.
Sounds interesting. Actually.
Yeah, that does sound pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I mean, I've seen it a couple times, so yeah. It was number 2.
Reminds me of the gremlin in the blender.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the number 1 movie of 19. I've never seen any of these movies. I've just never really wanted to. I'm not too big a fan of cop movies unless it's like a Scorsese cop film or something like that, I guess. But Beverly Hills Cop 2 was the number 1 movie in terms of gross for the year 1987, and I've never seen any of them.
Huh? Yeah, I don't know.
Beverly Hills Ninja was good.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Ninja was bad, but Beverly Hills Cop, not as good. And the second one. So, yeah. Again, Eddie Murphy reprises his role. You got Judge Reinhold back again. Same music. I'm pretty sure a much weaker plot. If I'm not mistaken, it wasn't as good as the first one, and there's a reason they never made a third one. There was always rumors that it was going to be made.
Yet it was the number 1 movie of 1987. That's interesting.
I would think that there's other ones that I would choose over that, but those are for my personal film selections of 1987. In which case, I have a shit ton of them. I added one most recently because I couldn't necessarily put it in worst movies because there's a lot of worst movies too. So here we go. Personal selections of 1987. Starting it off, we've got RoboCop.
Oh, fuck yes.
I know you love this movie, Brad. If you would like to take the reins here and talk.
Oh, all right. Well, what's there to say? It's one of the greatest movies ever made. Cinematic masterpiece. If you don't agree with me, watch it. And if you still don't agree with me, shame on you.
Indeed.
Burn in hell.
I almost don't want to say anything about it because it's fucking RoboCop. Period.
Well, it speaks for itself.
Would like to know what's it about,
Then you just watch it. His recommendation is to just watch it.
Pretty much.
Well,
it's Paul Verhoeven. I think it's his best movie. It's a satire on like us, like Americans as a society. Someone once called it like hyper America. It's like take all the worst shit about our society and just blow it way out of proportion to like comical proportions.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Americans love violence. Well, watch this robot like blast this guy into oblivion and his chest just explodes, and his back explodes. It's just blood exploding from both sides of him, and it's fucking beautiful. It's just so awesome. It's just so over the top. It's like privatization of of a police force. Like, this company buys the police force, and they want to make all these robots to like militarize the police. And they're all like, the Ed 209's a piece of shit. And there's like a little line where the guy's like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. We're just gonna sell them to the military." So that there's like that aspect of it. And it's about this Murphy. He gets turned into RoboCop, so it's like a man trying to like find his humanity. So there's kind of that aspect to it too.
Many layers. Many layers to the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like a cinephile, so I can't really articulate my thoughts about all that. But I say just watch the movie and like really watch it, and I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Honestly, I think I should watch it because I've never really seen it. I've just heard about it. I know a lot. I know about it. I've never seen it.
There's a scene where a guy gets melted by toxic waste, and his fingers, like, the skin starts coming off of him, and his face like collapses, and he's like, and I think about that like once a week.
Oh my
like,
God.
It's burned in my brain. Like,
Right.
It traumatized me at a very young age.
I see.
Same here.
It's all practical effects, just like
okay.
Predator.
All right.
And it's fantastic.
There were a couple scenes in that movie that really like stuck with me as I got older. There was one in particular that, aside from the toxic waste melting guy, that freaked me the fuck out. I was out after I saw that. Especially he gets hit by a car and he turns into this green mush. It just like
he explodes like a watermelon. Yeah,
right, exactly. It's crazy. So Murphy, the cop, they go to bust this guy. I can't remember. Basically, it's Red Foreman. It's the guy who plays Red Foreman in that.
Yeah, Kurtwood Smith. Yeah,
Kurtwood Smith is his gang of guys. Flea's not part of them, but the guy that looks kind of like Flea, the bassist Flea, is the one who gets melted into.
Yes.
But they're all there, and Murphy and his partner, I can't remember her name, show up to take him down, and they catch Murphy, and the scene in which they execute him is horrific to me. I watched that when I was a kid, and they just take him. They're like, all right. And they step on his arm, and they take a gun, and they just blow off his arm. They like step on his arm, and then just take a shotgun to it and blow it off, and then shoot him repeatedly, and then shoot him in the head, and like it's just like he's just getting gunned down to shit. Blood every crazy.
Yeah, Kurtwood Smith's character is like the most insanely like over the top evil villain. Because he blows his arm off. He's like, "Oh, let's give him a hand." Ah ha 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 ha. And then at the end he's just like, "All right, everyone, fun's over," and just goes up and just shoots him in the head, and like it was nothing. Yeah.
Right. And that's part of it too. When he blows off his hand, he's like, "Let's give him a hand." Like the fact that he's joking about it freaked me out. Like it was a whole being like under the control of someone else who's just torturing you. It just when I was a kid, I saw that, and I was like, "God damn, that's freaky." And so, the half man, half machine. He's basically just like his lower face and his brain is what they saved.
Pretty much, yeah.
And you could see he has like flashbacks to his memories of when he was living, when he was a human. So he goes and visits his wife, or where his wife would live now, and all that stuff. And he's remembering while also being a robot. And it's actually it's a really good movie. Just like Lethal Weapon in ways, it's diminishing returns with every sequel.
Oh, for sure.
But RoboCop, for sure, excellent movie, definitely worth a watch. Another personal film selection of mine, I had Full Metal Jacket. Love this movie.
Oh
yeah,
so
another
good,
great
man.
movie. Yep.
87 is a good year for movies. It's also a good movie for really bad movies. It's like 87 giveth, 87 taketh away. Is basically how it works. Full Metal Jacket, Kubrick film. I think the one guy who stands out the most in the entire film is the sergeant, the drill sergeant.
Gunny. Yeah,
R.E.M Emery or whatever. And
Kubrick doesn't like ad-libbing, right? I think that's his name. And and but he loved the way this guy, because he actually was a drill sergeant, if I'm not mistaken. So he had all
Right.
these lines that he had heard. One of them is like, "I like you, pal," or something like that. It's like, "I like you. I like you. You can come home and fuck my sister." I was like, "Holy shit!" He's like, "How tall are you?" And he's like, 5'10" or something. I didn't know they stacked shit that high. This crazy stuff all the time.
Yeah.
What does he say? Like the days of fingering Mary J. Rottencrotch are over, something like that. Oh god,
so fucking funny. And
but bullshit. I bet you can suck a golf ball through a garden hose.
Yeah.
Him talking to Pyle. He's so cruel to Pyle. Who was played by Vincent. I can't remember his name. The guy
D'Onofrio.
plays the Kingpin and the Daredevil and other things as well. But he's excellent as that role. And at the end of boot camp, when he's just completely lost his fucking mind, because he can't help it. He is a slower individual. You know, he's gonna bring the squad down, and that's one of the things they do in the army, is in other places as well. But like, if someone's bringing a whole squad down, they don't punish the person doing it. They punish the squad. So the squad takes it upon themselves to make sure that person is corrected. And in Full Metal Jacket, the one scene that I remember is like they held him down and hit him with bars of soap one at a time, which even the person that was helping Pyle, that really didn't. He was really hesitant to do it, but even him was just like, "Come on, man, get your shit together." And he starts hitting soap. Fucking crazy. You don't think of the Mickey Mouse theme and it ever the same again.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
I was gonna say that there's a whole war movie after all of this.
Exactly.
After all the boot camp stuff.
Any of the war scenes stick out to you? There was one for me, but I'll see if you guys have any.
Oh, the sniper one?
Okay.
Right.
Like, they're just waiting for us to get out there and take us out one by one.
Right,
just,
yes.
like, screaming, "Help me!" And they can't do anything about it.
Yeah. That really, the really cocky guy on the MG.
Yeah.
Like that guy. But yeah, that was one of like the first rated R movies I watched as a kid. And I always thought the scene of him killing the sergeant was pretty wild.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
Like, yeah, just like, whoa, really? Like, it's so weird because, like, you know, watching that one of the first rated R movies, it's like, it feels like the movie should end around there. It feels like this movie's been a long time. Like at that point, you feel like you've been watching a whole movie. Like, but there's a whole other, like you said, like a whole other. It's like two films in one. It's pretty great.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
it's very true. I mean, you get so caught up in the boot camp, like, and when he's just like in the bathroom, he's got his, "This is my rifle, this is my gun."
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there, like, "Pyle, what are you doing? Go back to bed, man."
Yeah.
Loading it up.
Right. And the sergeant hears it and he's like, "What the hell? What the fuck is going on?"
Are you out of your fucking mind? Get your ass. Staring death in the face and doesn't even realize it. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Right.
Yeah. Because he didn't think, and Pyle just shoots him. Crazy. But excellent movie. One of the best war films, I think, ever. So, Full Metal Jacket. Definitely worth a watch. This next movie is a classic, a John Hughes classic that I didn't watch up until a couple years ago. And now I plan to watch it every Thanksgiving. The movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Have you ever seen that, Brad?
Yeah, of course.
I had not seen it until like years ago. I know Nick watched it. We watched it with him and Des for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I'll let you guys go first. Nick, since it's sort of fresh in your memory.
Yeah.
What is when you first watched that movie, what did you think, highlight to you that stuck out or something?
Oh man, there's it's just so great that dynamic between the two characters and how ridiculous John Candy's character is. And and how just how they interact with each other and how he's actually just like a really good guy, meaning well, but always kind of accidentally fucking everything up, right? And making it worse for everyone. Oh man, it's a classic, really. I wish that I watched this movie when I was younger, like a kid. So, but even still not doing that, it just feels nostalgic, like I've seen it before.
For sure.
Yeah.
Brad? Anything to add for planes, trains, and automobiles?
Oh yeah, I mean Steve Martin, John Candy. Steve Martin's like this uptight kind of asshole, and yeah, John Candy's the well-meaning buffoon, and it's yeah, they're a great combination.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I mean, off the top of my head, I haven't seen it in a while. The car rental scene where Steve Martin just goes off on that lady.
Drops how many F-bombs and like.
Oh yeah, he's
Oh,
just
yeah.
fucking this and fucking that. I want my fucking car right fucking now.
Yeah.
And that lady, her voice is fantastic. She's hilarious. I think she was like Life with Louie, who's like the mom. She's got that real nice voice like this. Talks like that. Oh god, I can't even do it. But she's...
Oh yeah, and then at the end she's just like, "You're fucked."
That's the thing, is this movie couldn't be made today. Just get on your fucking cell phone, man. What are you talking about? You know. But
Yeah.
like you got a phone. There's not transport. It's not even an Uber.
Mhm.
You know, planes,
And
trains, automobiles. That's it.
Yeah, and it's I mean, how many Thanksgiving movies are there
Not a lot.
that are like classic, you know?
Yeah.
This might be the only one. I don't know.
I think
That's true. Yeah.
I like I said, I've seen that movie a couple years ago, and then I watched it again last Thanksgiving. But really good. One of the scenes that just that stuck out to me. The reason I watched the movie actually, so I was watching a documentary about John Candy because I love John Candy. I just thought he was fantastic, really funny guy, really
wonderful person.
Wonderful person. It's a shame. I really wish he'd gone to live longer because one of those celebrities that if I ever got a chance, would love to have met John Candy.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where he's and I believe it's actually they had interviewed Steve Martin for this documentary about him, and Steve Martin said you could tell. It always seemed like John had like a little bit of a broken heart with him. Like there was something he was always trying to make sure he didn't let anyone down all the time. Like he did John Hughes films like throughout the 80s. It's basically what made him a big star. But he would even do he did Home Alone for free. He'd work for about 72 hours or whatever it was. Maybe it's 24 hours. No, it's 24. I'm sorry. 24 hours straight. No sleep. Ad-libbed like every line in Home Alone and then went home. But like John Candy, there's a scene that he does in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles when Steve Martin's going off on him. And he's like, here's the thing. Have a point when you tell a story. These little inane, observations that no one cares about. You're like, how can you stand it? Well, I've been with Del Griffith or something like that, all this stuff. And after this long tirade of him just ripping him to shreds,
Yeah.
John Candy comes back with, I think, is probably the greatest line in the movie, where he's just like, you wanna attack me? Go ahead if it makes you feel better. Oh god, I wish I could like verbatim just recite it, but he's just like,
Sure.
yeah, I talk a lot. I also listen too much. Maybe I talk too much. I also listen too much. And I don't like to be cynical. I could be cynical like you, but I don't like to hurt people's feelings. And he's just going off. He's like, my customers like me. My wife likes me. Because I'm the real deal. What you see is what you get. And then it comes in with this awesome musical score, and then he goes into,
Right.
so he's like, he drops the mic and so it's really good scene. And it's
It is.
Steve Martin was talking about, because John Candy does that so well. It's like he's tapping into something that himself has had to endure,
Right,
growing up and whatnot. So, if you've never,
then it's hard.
Go on,
Oh
sorry.
yeah, I don't want to spoil the ending, like John
Oh.
Candy's actual situation. So
Yeah, it's absolutely worth the watch. So,
yeah,
classic movie, probably one of my favorite John Hughes films, if not my favorite John Hughes film. All right, now my favorite Mel Brooks film. I love this fucking movie. Love it. The movie Spaceballs.
Oh,
A personal
Jesus.
film.
Oh man, yes.
Spaceballs. I've got a whole shit ton of stuff I could talk about, an insane amount of stuff. So, but I will wait. Nick, do you have any highlights from Spaceballs?
Highlights from Spaceballs. The whole movie.
The whole movie. I know.
The whole movie, except
Oh.
of Dot Matrix. Dot Matrix is probably the worst character. Why have that? You could honestly take away Dot Matrix and all of the lines, and the movie would be better, I think, actually. Like it would still be fine. I actually think it makes it worse. It's just annoying, just like a little, I don't know. But who am I to say? I'm not. Spaceballs is legendary. God, I can't even give you maybe the combing the desert, right? How and he's like talking to the guy next to him, and he's talking to Colonel Sanders next to him, dark helmet with the megaphone. He's right next to him, but then he doesn't use the megaphone, and he yells out to the guys in the field, "You guys find anything yet?" It's just, why wouldn't anyway, or the beeps, the sweeps, the creeps, the stunt doubles.
Oh
right?
God.
All of the merchandise, the lunchbox, the doll, the flamethrower. Yeah, like just like Raspberry, who would give me Raspberry, Lone Star, the coffee, Mr. Radar. Man. Or the happening now. This is happening now. When will then be now? That's all
soon.
That. Or yeah. Or like when there's an evacuation at the end and it's talking, there's this voice in the back, like on the intercom talking about closing things down and what to do. There's like a 3-ring circus they're closing down in there. Right. Apparently. Close down the 3-ring circus. But yeah, there's I like at the beginning when the ship, it just goes on forever. It's like fucking 8 minutes or something. It just and
the ship is super, super long. Yeah.
Right. And the score that goes with it, and the look of the ship, you think that it's always going to end. That's the best part about that. You think, oh, okay, here's the end of the ship. And then it just goes yeah.
Remember what the poster says on the back?
We stop for no one, I think.
We break for no one.
We break for no one, yeah.
Oh, the beginning title crawl at the very end, it's like, if you can read this, you don't need glasses.
You don't need glasses.
It's like far in the distance.
Yeah. Such a great film.
You got any highlights?
Aside from all the... Okay, there's one little scene that always cracked me up. It's like a nothing scene, but they capture the princess's like car ship, and Dark Helmet's like the guard like walks in front of him, and Dark Helmet says like, "No, I will take care of this personally." And the guard comes back up to him and he goes, "Jawohl, Lord Helmet." Like this German, like Nazi stormtrooper kind of thing.
Right.
And he just does this slow turn to like look at him, like, what the fuck? And that I don't know, it cracks me. Maybe it's just like the timing of it and just how slowly he looks over at him. Like, what did you just say? That's all I really got, because the whole movie is just hilarious.
I can quote
ludicrous speed.
They've gone to plaid.
They've gone to plaid. Yeah.
Yogurt instead of Yoda,
Mm-hmm.
even with spring, the
merchandising.
Yeah. So,
I hate yogurt.
Sprinkle. The reason that they made that joke about merchandising is that George Lucas. But this is for people who don't know, in case you guys don't know, as well. The reason that they have all those merchandising jokes is because George Lucas gave the okay to make a Star Wars parody. But Mel Brooks wasn't allowed to sell any toys for the movie. So he had to keep that. There was absolutely no.
Right. He's able to do that as long as he doesn't sell merchandise from it.
Right. So in the movie, they're like, merchandising. That's where we get all the money. And Lord help us back from Spaceballs 2, the search for more money. So,
that's right.
God,
I love that movie so much, man.
God damn it.
So many movies.
Another scene with Michael Winslow and the sound effects.
Right.
Yeah.
When he's like,
creeps.
He comes. I forget how it's set up, but he's like,
we're having trouble with the radar, sir. What?
Yeah.
We're having trouble with the radar, sir. And then he puts the radio. Yeah.
And then he says it again, still with the
same way.
And then he like smashes everything around him. And you can see Michael Winslow laugh. You see his shoulders like jump up and down because he's laughing.
Yeah.
The bleeps, the creeps, and the sweeps.
The what? The what? And the what?
That's not all he's lost.
That's not all he's lost. Yeah.
Oh God. Is everyone on here an asshole?
Yeah. Right. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Yeah.
Keep firing, assholes.
Careful, sir. Fire! I said the fire laser up or upper nose, not or no rounder.
Not up it.
And
Or the Mega Maid.
He shows
Yep.
up his visor and he's like, "Sorry, sir," and he sees it. And he's cross-eyed.
Yeah, cross-eyed. Yeah.
Mr. Colonel Sanders.
She's gone from suck to blow.
Yeah, Mega Maid.
God.
So for me,
ridiculous.
throw out a few scenes here for me that I mean, it's a fantastic movie.
Well, we could quote the entire movie, probably.
Absolutely. I was
Just
gonna
do
say,
it all.
yeah, Pizza the Hut eating himself.
Oh God, yeah, he ate himself
because he can't get out of his limo. That's a lot. Apparently.
That whole costume like caused like second-degree burns on the actor.
Yeah, I heard about that. It was a horrible thing to wear.
So,
because it had to be hot enough to melt whatever was on the outside,
Right.
so it dripped off.
Like cheese and stuff. Yeah, it was bad.
Eesh.
So, yeah. There's a couple scenes one that sticks out to me in Spaceballs I always think about is John Candy. This is a hell of a year for John Candy. Spaceballs and Planes and Trains. So,
Right.
they said, she's a princess from Druidia. Druidia? Great, that's all we need. A Druish princess. And then John Candy looks at the camera and he knows this line is absurd. He knows it. He knows it's fantastic too. Because he can't help but laugh. And he's got that smirk on his face. He just looks at the camera and says, funny. She doesn't look Druish. It's so fucking good. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Like the scene where Nick was talking about with the desert. You find anything yet? No, sir. What about you? No. You? And it's these two black guys with a pick.
Yeah.
Which, and they're like, we ain't found shit.
Right. Yeah, because we don't you think we're being too literal, sir? No, I said comb the desert, so we're combing it.
What's the matter, Colonel Sanders?
They're literally using combs.
Yeah, it's so good. All right. I mean, I love Spaceballs. I could talk about that movie for hours. So.
Oh yeah.
All right. We will now move the luggage. I still use the luggage scene.
Oh yeah, for sure. The luggage.
one,
two. I love the suspense too, because you're like one, sir. 1, 2, 2.
5.
Oh, that's so great.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. An idiot would use on their luggage. And then the president walks in. Amazing! I've got the same combo in my luggage. And they look at each other. So good. All right, another top movie for 1987. I got Eddie Murphy's Raw. Probably one of the best comedy specials ever. Made all sorts of money. Revered among comedians to this day. Another top movie of 1987, The Running Man. Or sorry, not top movie necessarily. Personal picks.
It should have been a top movie.
Yes, The Running Man, personal pick for 1987. A lot of classic Schwarzenegger one-liners in this film.
Well, of course.
I
haven't seen that movie in a long time, but since it's Schwarzenegger and it's in the 80s, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe I still have so many more movies to get through. We talked about this. This is going to be a long section here. The Running Man is based off a Stephen King novel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And actually, the movie is better than the book, I hear. So watch the movie. This is a rare occasion that that's actually the case. And I can't remember who's like the guy who's like in charge of the whole thing.
Oh,
he's well-known, respected.
Fuck. Yeah, he was an actual game show host.
Right. I think it was the guy who hosted
something Dawson?
Richard Dawson.
Yeah.
Richard Dawson hosts the Family Feud, like the original host. Yeah, that's funny. He's in The Running Man. Another a movie personal pick of mine, another personal pick, movie Wall Street. Never seen it. It's pretty good. I think it's also another Oliver Stone film. So, man, he was just making movies all the time. It does, what's it, Charlie Sheen and
Martin Sheen, right?
Martin Sheen?
Yeah.
Yeah, Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen and this kid, he's like an up-and-comer broker, stock exchange guy, and he swindles his way into the inner circle of Gordon Gekko, the main character in that movie, I guess you could say, or the main antagonist. And they do some shady business, and things kind of fall apart at the end, and he learns some valuable lessons. But it's actually not a bad movie. Let's see here. We got let's see another one. Sorry, I lost my face. Oh, this one again. It's like I said, this is going to be a while. This movie is fantastic. I love it. Another personal selection of 1987, The Princess Bride. The Princess Bride.
Oh yeah,
love this movie. It's so good. I remember the title
good.
when I was a kid. In high school, I was like 15, 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
High school. The Princess Bride. I heard the title and I was like, I don't want to watch that. The Princess
Bride.
Same here.
Yep.
Like it sounds like a chick flick. I mean, not that it, there's anything wrong, but I don't.
It's not really up the alley. Yeah.
I'm not no, you need to watch this, Chris. And sure enough, I love this movie. It's so good.
It is.
Any scene from it that sticks out, we'll just do one.
Sure.
About Spaceballs, but like,
I got one. Probably my favorite. Huh? I was gonna say it's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. Is when they have like the poison, and he's talking about, did I switch to poison? You don't know if I move the cup or, while you weren't looking, and all that. Oh man, that whole scene is great.
Brad, you got anything to add?
No, I don't really have anything. I haven't seen it in a very long time. I just remember Inconceivable, and then
I don't think you know what this.
Yeah, what was he? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then Andre the Giant was in that movie too.
Right,
which, it's nice to see that guy.
I remember when they hit him with like the end of the sword, like the hilt or whatever. They like hit him with it. They actually did that. He got injured in that movie.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I read that somewhere. Actually, yeah.
Interesting. I don't know if I ever heard that. Inigo Montoya, you killed my father. Prepare to die. And then I keep saying, stop saying that. He keeps going after him. And Billy Crystal's in that movie. He's one of the first things that he's in, like as an extra. I guess he was making everyone laugh so much that they, Carrie Hughes or whatever his name is, the guy who plays the dreaded
Carrie Elways
or whatever. Yeah. Stop laughing. So they had to cut him out of the movie essentially. Like they just had to focus on Billy Crystal, not show him on camera at all because they couldn't stop laughing.
That's great.
That movie's so good.
It is.
Fred Savage and I think it's Peter O'Toole, reading him the book. We're going to read you about Princess Buttercup. What? And so all that stuff. He starts reading the story. And it's just a timeless classic. I hope they never remake it. Just leave it alone.
Yes.
One of the things I worry about people remaking. I think I see them doing it and it's just going to suck.
For sure.
Personal selection of mine. The movie Batteries Not Included. You guys ever see this movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good.
Classic, dude.
It's good special effects too. Those little robots. I always wanted one so bad when I saw it growing up. If you remember anything about that movie, feel free to go ahead.
It's just like a dilapidated apartment building, and all these like cute little UFO robot guys show up, and somehow they save the apartment building at the end. I don't know. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, probably. I remember renting it a lot.
They were gonna get the apartment building was gonna be demolished.
Right.
Yeah.
And they end up like fixing it up and doing like making it so it doesn't need to be anymore. And there was like some sort of criminal, some sort of guy who like goes in there and I think he like really like hurts one of the like the baby robots. So you're worried that it's dead. And like one of the people goes to try and fix it, even though he's this alien technology. How the fuck is he gonna do? So, but yeah, Batteries Not Included. I thought was a good wholesome little movie. One of the better ones of the '80s. Have you seen that movie, Nick?
Yeah, man, a long time ago. I loved it when I was a kid. I thought it was really good.
All right.
I just couldn't honestly tell you anything about it because it has been so long, right?
Yeah,
like
same here.
I was a kid, like a little kid.
All right, we got 6 movies left here. All right, this one's I'm going to recommend it because I do think it's the best, probably the best one, if not the second best one. I'm going to recommend the movie Ernest Goes to Camp. I'm going to recommend it.
Jesus Christ.
Ernest Goes to Camp. It's not terrible. It's not the worst movie. There's much worse. Ernest.
I know I've seen it. I don't remember a thing about it. They kind of all blend together.
Right. He sings a song in this. I know that. Sure am glad it's raining. And he's like, because he's like all upset because they're like, you ruined everything, Ernest. It's one of those things where it's the low point for Ernest in the movie. And he comes back. I remember at the end of the movie, there was some Native American fellow who was telling him about some Native American warrior back in the day, about how he couldn't be shot or something. And sure enough, there's someone with a gun pointing it at Ernest, and he shoots Ernest, but nothing happens.
Yeah.
Slowly starts moving towards him in like these weird movements because it's Ernest. And then starts playing back, like dubbed over what the guy was talking about with this Native American warrior. I don't know.
I vaguely remember a like lawnmower just always going around, like erratically going everywhere in the background.
Yes, constantly the whole time.
Yeah, right.
I remember there was they become Bobby. It's not
Yeah.
original. It's not the funny looking guy from Ernest Goes to Jail, but it's the bigger fella. He's the same guy in like every movie. He just keeps playing like a different character or something, or maybe it's the same name. But they were making this food and it looked awful. It was like this goop that they're giving to the children, and people are throwing up from it. I remember thinking like I never wanted to eat whatever the hell that was. It looked gross. But Ernest Goes to Camp is another one of those little wholesome little movies. Not bad. But for the time, it was pretty good. It basically started off Ernest. It did so well that guaranteed him another movie in next year, which makes my worst movies of the year list. So look out for that.
Oh, lovely.
Another personal selection of mine, Raising Arizona, Coen
Oh
Brothers.
yeah.
Nicolas Cage. Highlight of that movie, Nick?
Well, I'd say that I love that movie actually. I'd say that the highlight of that movie is actually that it's a movie that Nicolas Cage that I like. I think the only one. And it has a lot to do with the Coen brothers and star cast.
For sure.
It's just really good, man.
Have you seen it, Brad?
Yeah, once a long time ago. I don't really remember anything about it. It's Nicolas Cage and his wife like steal a kid, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, because they want one, basically. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's all I remember. So yeah, I got nothing.
John Goodman, young John Goodman's in it.
Oh, very young. Yep.
Yeah.
Started off him and the Coen brothers collaboration, which I am eternally grateful for, as I'm sure he is.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, then we'll move on to another movie, Less Than Zero, another personal selection of mine, Less Than Zero, based off the Brian Easton Ellis, I think his name is Brian Easton Ellis, guy who did American Psycho, also wrote the book for that. But Less Than Zero stars Robert Downey Jr. And some other people that I don't remember, but Robert Downey Jr. does really good in this role. I think he was nominated for an award if he didn't win one for this role. Basically about yuppie children living in like California and how the lives differ after high school graduation or whatever, after graduating high school, and some get involved heavily in drugs and get addictions, and others go off to college and come back and see that their friends aren't the same, and it's the post high school life, the years 19 to 24 whatever. But it's a really good book, and it's not a bad movie. It's pretty good. I recommend it. Another movie I recommend if you haven't seen, fantastic, the movie Evil Dead 2, my favorite Evil Dead movie.
Yes, excellent.
Fantastic. It's basically Evil Dead 1. They just brought Ash back with less people, just him and his girlfriend this time, who bites the bullet, or that she's dead by the first.
Right, and they turn it into a comedy as well.
Immediately, yeah. Oh God, it's so fucking funny. I think my favorite scene is probably when his hand gets possessed, and he's he's gonna chop it off, and he starts like doing it. He's like, "Who's laughing now?" He's cutting off his hand. Oh, so fucking hilarious. And when you're in the water, where it's like this weird trippy stuff. It's really cool. The way that they film that. Sam Raimi. Go on. Sorry.
Oh yeah, the weird trippy stuff, like when he like turns into like a zombie or whatever, or before he does, you see like the moon in the background. And it's gigantic.
Yes.
And it's like really weird. And I love the part where the whole cabin is going crazy, like the mounted like deer head is like everything is laughing at him basically, and he's like ah! And he like dances with the lamp because the lamp's bobbing up and down, so he like bobs up and down with it, and then just laughs maniacally. And then of course when he attaches the chainsaw to his arm, and he just goes groovy.
Yep. At the end of the movie, it sets it up for a sequel, which became Army of Darkness.
Right.
He gets pushed out into like the Middle East, and he's got like a shotgun in his hand for a chainsaw.
Yeah, that's the one that I remember the most.
That movie
is so over the top ridiculous.
Yes. Yes.
I love it. I love it though, man.
That I love that. I may be bad, but I feel good.
Yeah.
All right, listen up, you primitive screwheads.
All right,
This is my boomstick.
Yep.
2 more here. I almost felt bad about. I might take this. No, I'm going to leave it in because it did come out in 1987, although it was December of 1987, and it became a top 10 movie of 1988. An all-time classic. 87 was a great movie, great year for movies. This movie is called Good Morning Vietnam. Good Morning Vietnam.
Oh man.
Robin Williams at his peak. I mean, those ad-lib scenes where he's just bullshitting are fantastic. Everything about that movie, I mean, is just really good. It's really well done. It gives you a different perspective on the Vietnam War from people in Vietnam, and the horrors that they had to endure, as well as the horrors that the American soldiers had to endure, and everyone else. It was just a horrible whole thing. Really, just, I mean, I can't really think of or pick out one scene in particular that's really funny to me. I like the fact how bad the guy's name is Bruno Kirby. The actor's name is Bruno Kirby. He plays in like City Slickers and whatnot, but he's like the comedian that's not funny. And he's like, I can do comedy. Kronhauer thinks he can do I can do comedy, and he's fucking terrible, terrible. He can't. He's not funny at all, and that's what cracks me up is how bad he is. He's really funny. He's so good at it that being unfunny, that you could tell he's actually a funny person. So, yeah, I just I can't really pinpoint one scene in particular that stuck out to me, but like it's just a really good movie overall. Do you guys remember Good Morning Vietnam? Anything that stuck out to you?
No, because I've never seen it.
Never seen Good Morning Vietnam? Wow,
No.
you need to watch that. Absolutely.
I can't watch all the movies. I'm watching RoboCop all the time.
It's true. Repeat.
It's one of those movies that I haven't seen since I was really young, and that I haven't revisited. That I need to revisit.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I loved it though. It was good.
Forrest Whitaker's in it. He's like
nice.
Really like immediately meets Cronauer, and Robin Williams is like he's just cooler than everyone else in the film. Like everyone else is all kind of worried about their position, their jobs, and all that, and he just walks in casual, cool, and calm, collected sort of deal. Just gets on the mic and Good Morning Vietnam. He starts talking about all the stuff that happened. Like one of the things that they did to keep morale up for the soldiers in Vietnam is they would cut out what actually happened in Vietnam. So when they would do the over the news report, they would talk about, 20 soldiers were killed yesterday in an attack on blah, blah, blah. They were intercepted at this point or ambushed. They'd cut that out. Instead, they would only give you good news. And Kronhauer was just kind of like, why aren't we talking about this? We need to tell them what's going on. They don't need to know that. And so he gets pissed off and decides to just do it anyway, and then gets taken off the air.
Oh, right.
And it's just a bunch of that going back and forth, and it's really good, really good. I highly recommend it. All right, and now, okay, I've been waiting since we started doing the podcast, since its inception, and I thought about talking about movies, and I realized all the movies that I would get to talk about, and I was waiting and waiting for this.
Yes.
Is this the one? This is the one.
This is it.
Okay.
Yep.
I hope I've seen it. I don't know what we're going towards here.
I've chosen it to put it in personal film selections of 1987 because although it's not good, I know it's not good.
It deserves the worst.
Terrible. It could be the worst, but the thing is, there's actually a movie that's worse, and it's worse because it's also not funny and it's just bad.
I see. Yeah, sure.
At least this movie is fucking hilarious, and how bad it is. That movie.
I'm on the edge of my seat here.
That movie is called Miami Connection. Miami Connection.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Phenomenally funny and awful movie. Uniquely terrible. In Troll 2 arena or The Room, honestly, right up there.
Yeah.
Birdemic, right up there. It's up there. And it's maybe the funniest out of all of them, honestly.
Right. It may be one of the greatest.
It's
the greats.
So the plot of the movie is there's a group of martial artists. They're in a rock band, a rock banned martial arts group, Taekwondo,
yeah.
fights crime reasons against the group of ninjas who drive motorcycle. So the motorcycle ninjas, which a ninja you'd think would have to be quiet, but no.
Right.
And you know what kind of motorcycles they drive? Kawasaki ninjas. They drive those.
Mm.
I was like, I know there's a Kawasaki ninja, and that looks like that could be it. And sure enough, it is. So the ninjas are driving ninjas, loud ass ninjas. It's really strange. Got like there's like a scene where there's a bunch of bikers and there's a bunch of topless women, and it doesn't make any sense. The editing is
Yeah.
atrocious. There's the same. So there's a guitar player in the band for the fun loving the Super Friends or whatever you want to call it. And the guitar player wrote a bunch of songs, actual songs that they use in the movie repeatedly, but they use them and they sing it. Like there's the entire song they'll sing. The entire scene is the song itself, them just performing it. And the songs are corny, but they're also kind of catchy and earwormy. And I recommend giving it a listen. You can listen to it on, I'm guessing, Spotify. I know you can listen to it on YouTube Music, but Miami.
I remember in that bar, in that scene what you're talking about, like the motorcycles and stuff. I think it's this movie, right? There, he's in the bar. He's wearing like a leather jacket. Like
Nope.
he has someone like light a cigarette for him. Looks like he's having a good time, But oh man, trying to like blend in and be tough, but it just doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work at all, and it looks so like off and lame, and it's great.
It's great.
Right. It's yeah.
Now,
And
the head of the whole movie, I believe is the person who produced it and directed it, I believe as well, and started it. He's actually a decent martial artist, the Taekwondo like champion, but like he doesn't like English is like his fourth language.
Right. I remember that from the movie. Yeah, him having a real hard time with the lines and just being a terrible actor overall.
One of the guys in the group looks like our friend Davey. Like identical.
oh yeah,
He looks like Davey.
right.
I pointed that out to him. I don't know if he's ever seen that movie, but he needs to because he looks just like Davey. There's a one scene where they're all shirtless. They have pants on, but they all have their shirts off for reasons. And it's like we got this letter in the mail, and they give it to this guy. And he's like, "Oh, it's for me. Oh my God, my dad is alive, or he's dead, or something. I can't really think his dad is dead or
Yeah.
alive." Or
Right. No, he died. He's like, so now we're all orphans.
right?
Yeah.
So random because like all the guys are just hanging out in the background, not doing anything. They're just kind of staring blankly ahead while the camera's rolling, and then the other guy, the black friend, he gets with his shirt off, is just like really trying for an Oscar here as he's like looking into the.
Right.
I just wish that my father was here to see. It's okay. We are here for you. I love it. It's so fucking funny. And the entire movie is just like, friends forever, we expect to win.
Yeah.
It's all kind of coming back to me a little bit.
So fucking
I
funny.
think I only watched it once, like 8 or 10 years ago.
I showed it. I had to have showed it to you.
I think you showed it to me. I think we probably watched it together
Probably.
in my old apartment.
Yep. So the origin of this story, for me, before we move on to the worst movies, because obviously this can't be it. But I was at my house or something. I was at the home at the time, and Timmy came over, and we were just like, we're gonna hang out, just whatever, and smoke a little doobies, and then decide to watch something, and we're scrolling through Netflix, and Timmy's got the controller, and he looks and he sees this thing, and he starts laughing, and I look at it, and he's like, we read the synopsis together, and it was like a group of motorcycle ninjas are fight against this rock band group called Dragon Sound, martial arts rock group, and I was like, what the fuck? We're watching that, and sure enough, we loved every second of it. Just died laughing the entire time. I was so happy about that I discovered this movie. My next day at work, I go to tell my friend,
Right.
working at the time, and I was just like, hey man, I gotta talk. He's like, I gotta talk to you. And he starts to discuss telling me that he saw this movie last night, and go figure, it was Miami Connection. We were literally talking about the same. We had watched the exact same movie, unbeknownst to one another, the night before, and we could not wait to tell each other at work. It was the same fucking movie. I love that.
Right.
So yes,
Yeah.
Miami Connection, the top best worst movie of the '80s, and my last pick for 1987. We'll now get to the worst movies of 1987. The first one, I got Harry and the Hendersons. Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
Well, that's like some kind of, that's like a Sasquatch creature or something.
It's just terrifying.
Harry, the Sasquatch fellow there, is creepy as hell. Just hanging out with the Hendersons, getting into wacky situations and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Another
Bunch
terrible
of hijinks.
worst movie of 1987, one of the worst movies. Overboard. I just hate the fucking plot of this movie. It's so stupid. Essentially, there's this guy, I think it's Kirk Douglas. He's cleaning like this yacht for this woman, this rich socialite who's a prick or bitch or whatever you want to call it. And she, during like a storm or whatever, maybe not even a storm, she falls overboard. He picks her up, he rescues her, but she loses her memory, so she doesn't know who she is. So then he pretends that she's his wife, and he takes advantage of her. And
Jesus.
Yep, Overboard. It's a
Yikes.
comedy. It's a comedy.
That's a comedy?
Yeah, and so I read, I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? It's fucking
I mean, when you think about it, it is pretty hilarious situation.
Right, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Pretty hilarious. Okay, here we go. These next 4 movies are uniquely terrible. Like, they're bad, but they're funny sometimes, but the last one is not neither. But the 4 remaining worst movies of 1987, Masters of the Universe with Dolph Lundgren, the He-Man movie. If you've never seen this, I can't say I fully recommend it, but I can't say I don't recommend it at the same time. See if you like it. Masters of the Universe, Dolph Lundgren, Courtney Cox.
Yeah, that's a canon film, and they were notorious in the 80s for being super cheap and bad.
And it is both super cheap and bad.
Mm-hmm. Never seen it.
I've never seen it, but I know a girl whose dog was named after the dog in that movie, or the creature in that movie, like Gwildor or something like that.
Oh, I remember. I know the creature, but I don't remember the name. But yeah,
that's all I know about that movie.
Cosmic key they need to traverse time or something. I don't know. But it's obviously it's a movie based off the cartoon. Dolph Lundgren coming off Rocky IV and all the hype for that, thinking he's going to be doing these big movies. He's got like the #1 toy selling cartoon in the entire United States. He's thinking it's going to be great, and it's a complete shit show. It's a terrible fucking movie. From beginning to end, it's terrible. I know people that love that movie. I know a friend of mine, the first time I ever saw it was I went to college, and they had some like week-long party, and after one of the nights that I was there, I woke up, and the next morning we got breakfast and watched Masters of the Universe at the apartment, and I was like, this is a terrible fucking movie.
All right. So Gwildor, it was the little dwarf guy.
Yeah, Gwildor. Okay.
Which the dog looked nothing like that, so I don't know. I don't know what the hell she was thinking, but okay.
Another another worst movie of 1987. We've got the movie Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone, where he goes to arm wrestling competitions and wrestles people arms wise, and that's the whole movie.
Fucking stupid.
It's an arm wrestling competition.
Oh my god, that's another canon movie.
Yep, Over the Top, fucking terrible. Now this next one I'm going to talk about for a minute here, only because of the most recent video we've put out. Excuse me, Jaws 3D, which is doing quite well, I should say. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Not too bad. It's only 4 minutes and 40 seconds, so it's not too long. So if you don't like it, just bear with me. But anyway, this next movie, if you haven't already guessed, one of the worst movies of 1987 in a very strong field. But that movie is Jaws 4: The Revenge. Now, we kind of talked about this movie for a minute back in 83.
83.
Yeah. 83. But just to reemphasize this, I guess I looked into it because I've been getting videos about Jaws and whatnot on my YouTube.
Yeah.
And the book for this movie, basically the shark is possessed by a voodoo person who specializes.
Okay, great. Yeah, of course.
Voodoo?
Voodoo? The
voodoo?
But the voodoo magic on the shark, because Michael Brody did something to this person's family, and whether inadvertently or not, I don't remember, but I don't remember being like that big of a deal, but the person took offense to it and decided to use this shark as a way to get back at the Brody family. And so that's why the shark decides to follow them to the Bahamas. In the book, that's the reason. In the movie, none of that is explained or anything of the sort. The shark just shows up. It's like, how many times we have to kill this fucking thing? And is it the same shark? The revenge? Are there multiple sharks all getting together? Is there a family? I remember as a kid, we would make their own. Like John might not remember this, but like Jaws 4, that was the dad. Jaws 2 was a kid. Jaws 3 was the mother because they talk about the mother. Now Jaws 4 is like the other son or the daughter or whatever it is. You know, that's the last one. It's this family of sharks that they're all getting killed off one at a time. You know, so it's the revenge. That's the way we thought about it in our head. That's why why wouldn't they hold a grudge? But like a fish holding a grudge is so ridiculous. And traveling to warm water is ridiculous. The whole movie is stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And maybe the dumbest thing about the entire thing is the growl. It's the where they shock the shark and it's like and it jumps out of the it just hangs there. It's like fucking Michael Caine in the background. I gotta hit it. I gotta hit it. This guy not taught it. Ellen, look out! And it's the shark, and it's stupid. Then the shark blows up.
The shark always blows up.
I know they have to have the shark.
It literally blows up all the time. How else are you going to kill it?
Yeah, it's got to blow up. Yeah,
even though there's nothing, explosive in it, but blow it up. In the, I can't remember which. There was a couple different ending versions they had. One of them did not test well, so they changed it. So there's like a couple different endings to Jaws 4: The Revenge. There's even a made-for-TV ending to Jaws: The Revenge. But Jaws 4 at least. So I know one of them the shark blows up. One of them is the one that is normally seen, and then one of them shows their friend Jake dying, and then one of them shows Jake living, because the family did not, or the people that were watching it did not like that ending. This guy Jake falling into the mouth of a shark, clearly getting eaten, but somehow making it out at the end. I was like, what the fuck? I remember watching that movie because we recorded it off TV on VHS, and the end on TV never showed Jake living. So for years, like 20 years, I thought Jake died, as you would think. And then I watched the actual movie, uncut for TV, and he's there at the end. He's just got like a leg brace on, even though his ass was in those shark teeth. It didn't make any sense. The whole fucking movie is stupid. Not good.
That was exhausting to listen to.
Yeah, it's an exhausting movie to watch.
Imagine watching the fucking film.
Right?
How exhausting that is.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.
Yeesh. Okay.
Michael Caine couldn't get his like one and only Oscar win because he was off filming this movie.
Jesus.
He said, "I've not seen it. I've never watched it, but I suppose I can guarantee you." Or he says, "I'm pretty sure it's not good at all. I'm pretty sure it's really bad." But what is really nice, what was really good, is the house that it bought me. That house is really nice. It looks really good.
Hey, good for him.
Right.
His priorities are where they need to be. And the last worst movie, maybe one of the worst movies of all time. Thing is, I've never even watched this movie. I've never really wanted to watch it because just what I've seen is so stupid that it doesn't even look funny. And the guy who's in it, I don't like for I didn't like him before all the controversy and all the problems came out, and I don't like him after. Leonard Part 6. Where are the parts 1 through 5? No one knows. No one knew then. Leonard Part 6. It's Bill Cosby, and it's
Bill fucking Cosby.
Starring Bill Cosby. It's one of the worst movies ever made. Even Bill Cosby said it was a pile of shit, and he could not drug himself hard enough to forget that movie, even though he tried. So, Leonard Part 6.
Leonard Part. You think it's better than, like, Ghost Dad is better than?
They're all equal. Little column A, column B, shit in, shit out. It's all the same. Leonard Part 6, the worst movie of 1987. All right.
Is that it for worst movies?
It got a 7% on Rotten Tomatoes. That movie.
Is there another one that you can think of?
Yeah. Another canon movie. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
All right. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't bother.
Yeah. I watched it probably not a little while ago. Yeah, it's got a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. Another super cheap canon movie. Like, oh my god. At least they got Gene Hackman back for Lex Luthor.
Yes.
But it's all so cheap. Like his costume looks like a Halloween costume, and the effects are terrible. He's like out of focus when he's flying. Like, oh my god. You got Nuclear Man.
Oh, right.
Who scratches Superman and gives him like radiation poisoning, and Superman moves the moon to make an eclipse on Earth so that Nuclear Man like shuts down because he's powered by the sun. Which Superman's powered by the sun too, so that doesn't make any goddamn sense.
No, it doesn't. Also,
the whole movie doesn't make any sense, and it's bad.
Wow.
That's that's my pick for worst movie.
Oh, that's a good pick. That's a solid pick. I think by this time I had 10 movies and for personal picks. So we'll move on now to that will end our movie section.
Okay.
Yeah, and we will now move into the music section of the podcast with the music of 1987. And for albums that went number one in 1987, we have Bon Jovi's "Slippery When Wet." Hell yeah!
That again.
There we go. Still up there. Another album that went number one in 1987, Michael Jackson's "Bad."
Yeah.
Nice.
That's good shit.
Another album that went number one, the Dirty Dancing official soundtrack. That album was huge. I don't know necessarily why, but it was. It had a couple hits that were like modern, which is funny because it's like Dirty Dancing was set in like the 50s, 60s, whatever it was. So it's got like these 50s, 60s songs or classics that people haven't heard. Mm-hmm. But then it's also got like new age, like like Hungry Eyes. That's not from the 50s and 60s. That's right now, but that's on the soundtrack.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'll try not to. All right. Another album that went number one, 1987, Whitney Houston's debut. Whitney Houston's album. She's made her appearance. U2's The Joshua Tree went number one in 87. And the Beastie Boys' License to Ill went number one. For personal album picks of 1987, I don't have many. I don't. I only have three. And to be honest with you, two of the three I don't even really listen to. I just know like one song from each one. At least one of them is R.E.M's Document. That's a personal album pick of 1987. Another personal pick, I've got The Cure, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. And
INXS some good ones in it.
Kick. That's another personal album pick of 1987 because I know one of the songs off Kick. But honestly, for 87, I was like, what? There's not a lot there that I could be like, all right, that's it. There's like one song here, one song there. At least with R.E.M, a couple songs, I was like, all right, I'll use that one. But I mean, I'm sure for metalheads, there's probably something worth listening to. But
yeah, you got Among the Living by Anthrax, which is a great thrash metal album. You got Motley Crue and Swing Out Sister.
Okay, wait.
I'm not really seeing much here.
There are, but that probably made my worst albums of 1980.
Oh, fair enough. Oh, Music for the Masses by Depeche Mode. That's a good album.
All right, 1987.
I mean, there's more, but I'll stop.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to the worst albums of 1987, and I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for this, I think, but I don't give a shit because I fucking hate this band. I've always hated this band, and I will continue to hate this band.
Jeez.
That band is Guns N' Roses with their debut album, Appetite for Destruction.
Garbage.
This band. Cannot stand them. Don't like any song they've ever done. Ever.
I mean, fair enough. But if you take out Axl's vocals, there's a lot of good guitar solos and riffs going on in that album. So that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah. I mean, musically, it's not like, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I mean, honestly, it's not very appealing to me. But yeah, like I said, I just hate that fucking band. I hate that. I hate everything about them.
Man.
Crap that they pull. And
I think a lot of it has to do with the fan base.
Yeah, it's a lot of like white trash ass people.
It is a lot of white trash people that like Guns N' Roses.
Like AC/DC, Pantera,
right?
Roses, They're all kind of like in the white trash family of
right.
This is it. And Motley Crue.
Motley Crue, yep, absolutely. Poison.
Well, yeah, those bands, sure.
This white trash.
Scorpion.
I don't know about the Scorpions.
We're getting to Europe. Hold on. Well, actually, the band Europe. Anyway, we'll now move to one of the worst album of 1987, George Michael's Faith. Just bland pop music.
Oh, Limp Bizkit did a great cover of Faith, though.
Absolutely they did. We got Tiffany. This I'm not even kidding. She started off in the mall. She would go from mall to mall. This girl, and she would sing in the malls, and she became famous for singing in malls when malls were a big thing. And her debut album, Tiffany. She did that.
What was her? Oh, I Think We're Alone Now.
Yeah, she covered that.
Hey, that's a great song.
But yeah, Tiffany, one of the worst albums of 1987. Got to continue this on. Bryan Adams, Into the Fire, one of the worst albums of 1987. That's where he should put the album, I believe. That's where he, throw it. Yes. The last worst album of 1987, Motley Crue, Girls.
Oh, yeah.
Girls.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just picture somebody with a sleeveless t-shirt, says Motley Crue on it. They got like a bandana, they're drinking a beer out of a koozie, like a camo koozie.
And a mullet.
Yeah, right. A mullet, yep.
And a cigarette in the same hand that they're holding their beer. Yeah.
Yep.
Got like those Oakley like massive glasses.
Right.
Color.
And just
like that orangish tint on it. Yeah. Yep. They got like the dirty knee-high white socks that are kind of down near their sneakers that are just dirty as well.
Everything's
and they also have jorts on.
Jorts.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Homemade jorts.
Like homemade jorts, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say with the shredded jorts. Yeah. Man, really painting a picture. Yeah, it's like typical Motley Crue fan.
Right. Yeah. There's someone listening to this, like looking at themselves right now, like, "Am I this guy?"
Well, if you are that guy, you need to think seriously. Think seriously about your life.
Right. Really reconsider your life choices.
Yeah. Really be introspective here.
Me being such a grunge fan also helps or pushes me to not like these bands. Because it was like the antithesis of Motley Crue was grunge bands. Like you couldn't see like Alice in Chains, you couldn't, even though it's so melodic and all that stuff. But Motley Crue and Alice, it's not even a comparison. Motley Crue's garbage. Fucking hate that band. You should go listen to Alice in Chains. It's infinitely better. But the whole, not a lot of like showing off. Not of this flashiness. It's not glam at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I think the glam metal is just
I hate
horrendous.
Really bad era.
Yeah.
I mean, and thanks to the glam metal, we got all the great thrash metal in the 80s. Yeah. Just like counteracting them like head to head.
Right. And was it new wave? You get punk music, stuff like that. The 80s had a shit ton of good music. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
But there's that niche. There's that little group, or not even a little. I mean, at this point, it was pretty much full blown glam rock was the thing. Fucking hate it. So
the kings of glam, I think, was Kiss, and it was just awful because they weren't even like good, and like everything about it was just horrible.
So corny. I don't understand how to get into that.
Yeah.
But teach their own, I suppose. Each their own. All right. We will now move on to the top songs of 1987. One of the top songs of 1987, "The Walk Like an Egyptian" by the Bangles.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a fun song.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
"I Want to Dance with Somebody" by Whitney Houston, another top song. I want to dance with somebody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a good song. Yeah, yeah. Sing it, Chris.
Somebody who loves. Yeah.
I get "Here I Go Again" by Whitesnake. That's
God.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Here we go again.
On my own. That just reminds me of old school. The reason I even have that song in a much, what's really funny is actually don't mind that song because of Old School. Like if it wasn't for the movie Old School, I hate that song is just as much as I hate any other of those types of bands. But for whatever reason, it just makes me think of Frank the Tank when he's like sending his wife a voicemail repeatedly. All right, we got another top song of 1987, "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
Classic. Another top song, "Everybody Have Fun Tonight," Wang Chung.
Yeah,
Everybody.
that one again. Yeah.
Oh boy,
Still there. This one I really like. I think it was also in 1986, but I could be wrong. "Don't Dream It's Over" by Crowded House. I actually really like this song.
yeah, it's a good one.
I'm aware of it in this movie called Adventureland, forgettable movie from the mid 2000s, maybe late 2000s. But it has a song that plays over and over again, and "Don't Dream It's Over" came on, and I thought that's a really nice melody and guitar, and yeah, I liked it. The guy wrote it actually after leaving a mental institution. But yeah,
Wow.
"Don't Dream It's Over." Another top song of 1987, U2's "With or Without You." This one's for Sly. "With or Without You." I played that song. It's a fun song to play. It's a fun song. It's a good melody. Got like the drums, and the little guitar parts too. It's all good. It all kind of builds off itself, starts off slow, and then just kind of to this crescendo at the end. I think it's a really good song. "With or Without You" by U2. As I had mentioned earlier, Tiffany's "I Think We're Alone Now" was a top song of 1987.
Great song.
Oh yeah. This one was this is a cover. This is a cover of a older song, Billy Idol's cover of "Moni Moni." Now, do you know what Moni stands for? Do you know why they got Moni? I like telling the story because I guess a lot of people don't know.
Is it like pussy?
Close.
Yeah.
No. But anyway,
No? Oh, okay.
that was writing the song back in like the 60s or whatever it was that came out. I was trying to think of a catchy thing, like "Wooly Bully" would just come out, and it's like, what is "Wooly Bully," He's trying to think of his own little catchy tagline. So he's sitting there in New York City, and he's trying to think of anything. As he looks out his window, he sees lit up on the side of the building municipal offices of New York. So it just says Moni. And so that's what that means. That's where Moni comes from. It's the municipal offices of New York. So not as catchy as saying that instead of just saying Moni. Municipal office of New York. Office of New York. Moni Moni. Yeah.
Weird.
So that's because
I just assumed it was something sexual, like all that shit was.
I mean, I suppose if you're like really attracted to a building, I think they had that in My Strange Obsession on TLC, where a guy was like
right. That's a bogus show, by the way.
An object sexual, yeah.
Yeah,
attracted to inanimate objects. Yeah.
Inanimate object, right? I just feel really close to this Ferris wheel, whatever the fuck it was. Anyway.
Yeah, and he's like making out with it and getting the oil and the grease all over himself. Yeah.
Lubricant. All right.
It's good stuff.
Jesus.
Their top song of 1987. Billy Vera and the Beaters. What a name. At this one. And that song is fucking hilarious.
What is the song?
What's the song?
What did you think I would do at this moment?
Oh, at this moment.
Yep.
Oh.
You're right. Found you another. Yeah. You just don't love me no more. It was like this, like a prom dance in the 1987, whatever it was. But at the end of the song is my favorite part, where it's just like he just goes off, and I can't do it. I'm not gonna bother, but
you gotta hear it, right?
Where he's just like,
that's great.
Yeah. What the fuck? It goes on for so long. It's like 30 seconds of him just being and then the saxophone just bursts in. And it's so fucking. I just think of the what did you learn? How do at this moment?
It sounds like Michael McDonald.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We talked about this song. It was still a top song in 1987 as it was in 86, but Chris de Burgh's The Lady in Red still maintains the top song in 1987.
There you go, Sly.
There you go. We won't tell that story again, though.
No.
We won't.
Oh, no.
Check our previous episode.
Yeah, if you want to know that story about Sly,
absolutely.
Check 1986.
We need to have him on this show again.
Right? Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to. Just got to work out schedules. Billy Medley's I've Had the Time of My Life. One of the top songs of 1987. I've had the time of my life.
Oh, yeah.
Dirty Dancing. Never felt this way before. Yeah. And we got Linda Ronstadt and James Ingram's Somewhere Out There. I remember those like late night TV show or commercials that would be like, get these 3 CDs for $19.99. You know?
Oh yeah. They still play those commercials.
Yeah.
Commercial for these 80s songs, and this was always on there, and it looks so corny. This music video for Linda Ronstadt and James Ingram, some old guy singing Somewhere Out There, which is the song from American Tail. It's like somewhere out there.
Oh yeah. I remember that song.
Moonlight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was just 2 old people singing to each other. It's kind of like, it's weird. All right.
I just remember Linda Ronstadt from the Mr. Plow episode of The Simpsons.
Mr.
Oh,
Plow,
hell
yeah.
Yep.
She shows up randomly.
So good. So good. I got a few songs left here for top songs of 1987. Club Nouveau, Club whatever. Lean on Me. I love this one because it's breaks down to some Jamaican sounding some reggae.
Oh, yeah.
We be Jaman.
Listen to that man, listen to that song like every day going to school. They're taking the bus from Wanata to La Crosse.
Lean on me when you're not strong. Yeah, so
what was that bus driver's name? Do you remember her name?
Nancy?
Yeah, Nancy, yeah. She had the
shout
same
out to Nancy.
Yeah, big time shout out. Because her cassette had that. Her cassette had that song, and it had Tiffany's, I Think We're Alone Now. It had American Pie. Had a bunch of, and then a few other random 80s songs. So, yeah, good stuff.
It. Same fucking shit every day. Shit in, shit out.
Yep, those same songs every day.
Hell yeah. Rest in peace, Nancy. Unless you're still alive, then, hey, Nancy, we still remember your tape.
Well, if she's not still alive, she's driving that school bus in heaven.
Yeah.
Or hell, somewhere.
Yes, because they have
somewhere.
They still have education, and heaven is public.
Talk about higher education. Get that in heaven.
Well, oh god, I can only imagine the education you get in heaven. Holy shit!
Well, you got to learn about the ins and outs of the universe and reality and
how to praise
the after.
I think I think it's just more like a vacation Bible school for eternity.
Oh God, this isn't heaven at all.
All right, we got a few more songs here. The Cutting Crews. I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight.
Oh, cool.
Song of 87. I just died in your arms tonight. Classic song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Another top song in 1987. The Georgia Satellites. Keep Your Hands to Yourself. I got some change in my pocket going jang-a-lang-a-lang. Yeah.
Oh, that song.
You shuffle the G.
It was like, don't give me no lies and keep your hands to yourself.
Hands to yourself. Yeah, that was covered, I believe, in some 90s country.
Wedding Ring.
That song's pretty awesome.
Keep your hands to yourself. Georgia Satellites. All right, another two left for the top songs of 1987. We got Genesis's Land of Confusion.
Oh, yeah.
Song. Disturbed covered that song.
Yeah, well, we don't need to talk about that.
As well as Shout. They're
yeah.
All right, and the last top song of 1987, Michael Jackson's Bad. Because I'm bad.
Oh yeah.
Classic. Really bad.
So good.
Let's not forget Weird Al's parody, Fat.
Yep.
They're 1988,
which is excellent.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, now we got worst songs of 1987. I've got George Michael's Faith. Funny. Like these songs are like, these were top songs, man. No, worst song of 1987. One of them, George Michael, Faith. Another worst song of 1987 is Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle.
Absolutely. Hands down. That should be number one.
Welcome to the jungle.
It's fucking
She's
so
got the
bad,
most
dude.
nasally voice. Like, I don't understand.
I don't know. You have to ask the people who indulge in the white trashness to.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they have them.
Pretty sick guitar riff, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right, guys? I think
Slash
it's pretty awesome.
is a great guitar player.
Yeah.
Slash is a great guitar player, I think. He's really fucking good. He's incredibly talented. but I do not like the music he makes with this fucking band.
Fair enough.
Right. I think his talents are wasted with the band, personally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, and the last worst songs of 1987, Survivors, Is This Love? Is this love? Doo-doo-doo, that I'm feeling. It's really bad.
Oh, God.
So, the thing is, at the end of this episode, where we have the worst songs play at the end, you were thinking, oh, they're playing top songs. No, we're playing the worst songs of this year, and so I guess you're going to hear some Faith, some Welcome to the Jungle.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of which, the previous episode, you guys were shitting on the Walk of Life.
Yeah.
And I listened to the episode at work, and you put the Walk of Life at the end there.
Yep.
And you know what? I just had a smile on my face when it started. Yeah. Fuck yeah, Walk of Life. And then it cut out, and it went to the L. Ron Hubbard song.
Yeah, right.
What to country rap?
What's something else?
Oh, the country rap. Yeah.
Oh, that was hysterical.
But I was
dying listening to
I was
that.
upset that Walk
God.
of Life got cut off.
Yeah.
I got cut off at the perfect point, too.
Yeah, I was getting right into it. I'm just like, yeah.
Good
I saw
Lord.
a short of somebody playing on their guitar and their girlfriend sitting on their bed, and they start playing the Walk of Life on the guitar, and while the music plays in the background, and the girl starts smiling like, everyone knows this is a banger. I fucking hate this song. Hate that song. So corny. But yeah, I brought a smile to your face, Brad. That's good. I am happy that happened. All right, and then the Road to Freedom is so fucking monotone. They don't sound like they're happy at all to be on this Road to Freedom.
It's definitely disturbing.
Road to Freedom.
It has some sort of like dark undertone to it.
Really creepy about that.
Gotta listen to the 1986 episode.
Right.
Nope.
And don't just skip to the end for the songs. You gotta listen to the whole thing.
You gotta listen to the whole thing.
It builds up to those songs at the end.
Right. All right. Well, that will do it for our music section of the podcast. Yay!
All right.
We almost hit the gunshot button, which wouldn't make any sense. All right. But we will now,
what the hell?
We will now move to the TV section of the podcast with TV of 1987.
Space, the final frontier.
Nothing's gonna stand in my way as long as we got each other. Thank you for being Yo, Joe! Every time. Believe it or not, it's just heroes in a half shell. Turtle power.
And for TV shows that debuted in the year 1987, classic TV show, Star Trek: The Next Generation, debuted
nice.
in 87. I highly recommend watching that show.
Oh, yeah.
First season or the first two, but definitely the third. It really picks it up after that. There's actually a really horribly racist episode in 1987, I think the first season. Like the first 5 episodes in, they like go to some tribe in Africa, and it's just like a whole bunch of things. It's bad. Another show that debuted.
Are you talking about the episode where like the lieutenant gets captured and
It
she got
might-
like fight for her life?
Maybe
That's what.
against
I don't know.
tribal people. I think you might be right.
Yeah, it's the tribal people. Yeah.
Another show that debuted in 1987, Married with Children. The Fox Network's big first show, Married with Children. Love and Marriage. I never really watched that show too much. It seemed like it was not for my age. My parents wouldn't let me watch it. They didn't really like it. They thought the humor was
Right.
garbage or crass or
Too
just
crude.
crude. Yeah. Just,
Yeah.
and I watched it again, and I don't even like it now. It's really lame. It's
Yeah.
all fat jokes and like it's just like humor that would only fly in 1987. That's not going to fly now, and even now it's not funny. So I don't really like the show at all. Married with
Right.
Children, but it debuted in 1987. Another show that debuted in 1987. The show Full House. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Whatever happened to predictability? So yeah, Full House.
Man, the paper boy.
Go through the whole thing.
Evening TV.
Full House debuted 1987. kind of like a spin on Three Men and a Baby, but 3 men and 3 babies, 3 children.
Right. Full House.
Pretty much sure. I'm pretty sure it just debuted to solid ratings and just stayed that way till it ended, till like the last year when it kind of started to lose people. But the first couple years were pretty funny, like in terms of like what people are wearing. There's just plot lines and whatnot. But yeah, it wasn't a bad little show for when it started off. It was really different than what Bob Saget was doing stand-up wise. But you know what? To each their own. So good for him. Full House, a classic show.
Well, yeah, was Bob Saget one of those raunchy comedians?
Oh yeah.
I never really listened to his stuff.
His stuff's all raunchy.
Oh yeah, it's all of it.
Kind of like Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Like growing up with him, he's the Genies and Mrs. Doubtfire. And then, I watch one of his stand-ups. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, because Bob Saget also hosted America's Funniest Home Videos, and I watched that.
Oh yeah. He was beloved by the entire country. And then he has such a potty mouth when he does his stand-up.
Right.
Absolutely.
All those 4-letter words.
4-letter words and pie. Like for Half Baked, you ever suck dick for Coke? I mean, that's a Bob Saget.
Oh yeah, right. He directed the movie
Dirty Work.
What's it? Dirty Work. Yeah.
Okay.
Love that movie.
Yeah. Full House debuted in 1987. One of the best theme songs. Still, it's really fun to play. Really fun to play on the guitar. All right. 21 Jump Street also debuted in 1987. 21 Jump Street. I never watched the show, but I watched the movie it was made or inspired by or whatever it was. I actually thought that was a pretty good movie, 21 Jump Street, but the TV show I never bothered. But it stars a young Johnny Depp. Not everyone knows that, but yeah. 21 Jump Street. Another show that debuted in 1987, The Bold and the Beautiful. The Bold and the Beautiful.
Ooh.
A soap opera, I believe.
I was going to say, it sounds like a soap opera, just by the name. Like The Young and the Restless.
Yeah, it kind of stuck around for another 20 years. The Bold and the Beautiful. Another show that debuted in 1987, A Different World. Basically like a Cosby show, but for the younger generation. Yeah. I believe the thing about this show that stuck out to me is the guy, I can't remember his name, but he had these sweet glasses, like these circle glasses, like circle frame glasses that had like a lens on top of them that you could flip up.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember his name, but yeah, I always wanted those when I was a kid. I don't know how practical they are, but I always wanted one. Yeah, another TV show. For me, this show was my favorite show as a kid growing up. Every time it was on, I'd watch it. I was obsessed. I'd get the movies, the VHS movies we get from Burger King when they had that thing going on. I had comic books that I'd read for this.
Oh my God.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the cartoon.
Oh, yeah. The cartoon, yeah.
Really, really, I just loved everything about it. But the thing is, if you watch it now, holy shit, the animation is, I don't know, bad. That's when it's going to go bad. It's bad. Let's really thought about process that. And the animation is just shoddy and not good. It gets better as the series goes on, but the plots and the stories and everything gets worse. So you get one or the other.
Right.
And there was one infamous, for at least for my VHS for the Ninja Turtles that I had, because there was a bunch that you got at Burger King. And one was like the Great Baldini and all this stuff, but one that we had in particular was called Sky Turtles. And so there's this episode of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles called Sky Turtles, where Krang and Shredder developed this anti-gravity box that reverses gravity on the Earth. Instead of having any gravity, there's no gravity. So everything ideally would just float away. And that's what he was going to do. He's going to have everything float away and then rebuild it in his own image or whatever. Shredder.
Okay.
The Turtles get wind of this, and thankfully they're able to take some anti-gravity boots that Shredder had also made for his Rocksteady and Bebop. Anyway, they get the boots on. There's a whole ordeal. They at one point they decide to try and put the buildings back together. They take one of the buildings and they fire this like a turtle grappling hook, just a rope. This turtle, they hook the Channel 6 building, the entire building, and they just drag it away. Apparently, when there's no gravity, nothing weighs anything anymore. So they're just able to just move it, whatever, no big deal. And so they're able to tie the building.
True, right?
Well, yes, well, yeah, but like what I remember of this episode, they were in like a blimp, right? They had like a blimp.
Yeah, the blimp.
Yeah, and what they would do, they'd like harpoon the buildings that were flying away, and essentially, since there's no gravity, their blimp shouldn't really work at all.
No.
That should also just be going away.
I was gonna say,
but for
it
some
should get-
fucking, I think that did they have some sort of anti-gravity thing other than the boots?
That was it. I think they stayed above the field of anti-gravity.
Oh,
and then like the thing is, they went and tied that Channel 6 building just using a rope to another
just using
building
a rope.
that was still on the ground. So the animation shows all a bunch of buildings, like all the rest of New York is fine except now for the Channel 6 building, even though previously they showed a bunch of buildings being ripped from their foundations.
That's true. Yeah.
And then after they finish the day and they win it out and all that stuff, all the buildings, everything comes falling down perfectly in place. Every building.
Okay, yeah, that's ridiculous.
Everything, yeah.
They don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Also, some molten lava pours up from the concrete, and Shredder and Rocksteady and Bebop step in it, but they're good. Their feet are still there.
This is
all right.
perplexing.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Love that show. One of my all-time favorites. Another show that debuted in 1987. The show DuckTales. DuckTales. Woo! Good theme song.
Yeah, fantastic theme song.
Actually, they had a good video game for the NES eventually when they got one. But yeah, DuckTales debuted in 1987. Unsolved Mysteries. Unsolved Mysteries debuted in 1987.
Man, I loved that show. Well, I simultaneously loved it and was terrified by it growing up.
Hell yeah.
Because the spooky man with the scary voice would come on wearing the trench coat. Like, welcome to Unsolved Mysteries. Robert Stack.
Basketball. The movie Basketball was really funny. Like they basically had like an Unsolved Mysteries where they had the exact same guy, Robert Stack, come in and be like, Coop is hanging by his neck in his fucking closet. Does anyone know what happened to Coop? Just the same music playing in the background, but yeah, it's so creepy.
Yep.
All right, two more shows left that debuted in 1987. The show Super Dave with Bob Einstein. Love that guy. Miss him. R.I.P. Super Dave, a guy who would basically do like Evel Knievel stunts, but they would always go bad. And it was really cheap, but it was supposed to be cheap. It was always really funny. It was like one of those scenes that I've seen repeatedly because it's listed as one of the best is when Bob Einstein, I don't even know if it was from this Super Dave show. This might have been like a cartoon, but actually now that I think about it, I think it was. Never mind. But anyway, Super Dave, I think it was in the 70s. He did this one where he got on top of a truck, like a semi-truck, and he had like a piano playing. And he was like, all right, we're going to see you guys later. This stunt is just blah, blah, blah. And he takes off and he starts playing like sheet music and all this stuff. And he just, at the end, it cuts away and you see that it's a dummy now. But he runs into this tunnel and he hits the top of the tunnel. Everything like, blows up and explodes. And Dave just manages to live throughout the whole thing. Yeah. It's really funny.
I was going to say, that sounds pretty good, actually.
Oh, it's fantastic. Super Dave. I recommend it. And the last show that debuted in 1987. This one is a cartoon for sure. The show Brave Star. Timmy showed me this one. Brave Star. About some space cop or space cowboy fella wearing a cowboy hat, and then there's like a mechanical horse that he rides.
I remember, Brave Star. The fucking intro was so ridiculous.
Brave Star. Yeah. The last show that I'm going to mention that debuted in 1987. For the top 10 TV shows of 1987 for basic TV, we had the #1 show once again for like the 4th year straight, The Cosby Show, rated #1. Even with Leonard Part 6, it did nothing to diminish The Cosby Show.
Damn, it's a shame.
I mean, at the time,
he could do no wrong.
He was America's dad.
Yep.
We didn't know any better.
We did not. #2, A Different World, debuted and became the second highest rated show in 1987. Cheers was #3. #4 was The Golden Girls. #5 was Growing Pains. 6, Who's the Boss? 7, Night Court. 8, 60 Minutes. 9, Murder, She Wrote. And 10, Alf. Alf made it to 10. Also Growing, The Wonder Years or whatever, Growing Pains, whatever, is 19. It also was #10, but it tied. And if anything ties with Alf, I just make Alf #10. So there it is. The top 10 shows for basic TV, 1987. The worst TV shows to debut in 1987. We've got My Two Dads, which stars Paul Reisner and someone else.
God.
Basically, it's a woman that these two guys both dated, and had a child. I don't think she knows whether or not each
Oh.
father, or they know that they're not the father. But she dies, and they decide to take care of this girl, and hijinks ensue because it's two men taking care of a girl, and they don't know what they're doing. So my two dads. Only lasted for a couple seasons. Not a good
thing to do would be like get a DNA test,
right?
Really find the parents. Maybe check for a foster home if you aren't the parents. That sort of thing. But no,
maybe the grandparents of the mother who died, or aunt, uncle, anybody else.
If they're still around, any sort of family. Yeah.
Well, that's not funny though.
Not just like a few years beforehand.
Right.
We're good.
All right.
All right. Another worst TV show to debut in 1987. Beauty and the Beast stars Ron Perlman and what's her name from Terminator 2, Children of the Corn, Linda Hamilton.
Hamilton, yeah.
Ron Perlman's the Beast. Only made it for like a year or two. It was real bad.
I've seen pictures of Ron Perlman as the Beast.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah,
makes sense. I like this one. This one I didn't realize was an actual show, but I should have known better because Family Guy mentioned it, and they always do pop culture references. Jake and the Fat Man was one of the worst shows to debut in 1987. It's about Jake, a detective, with a cop who's a detective, but this guy's fat, so it's Jake and the Fat Man. And the fat cop is like the guy Family Guy made fun of. He's like, "Those cheese danishes? You got any cheese danishes?" He's like, breathing heavy and all that stuff. Yeah, so that was the whole thing.
Right.
That was the premise of the show. Jake.
Incredible.
Man, they did not give a shit in the 80s.
And the last worst TV show to debut in 1987 was a show called Rags to Riches. I don't remember. I remember I looked it up for a moment, and it's basically it's just not good. Just the title basically explains the plot, and hijinks ensue. So yeah, we'll do it for.
Is it kind of like the Beverly Hillbillies?
I don't think
because
so.
they were like poor white trash, and they discovered oil, and then they were rich.
There was a lot of like country jokes in that. There's nothing of this sort in Rags to Riches. I don't think so. It might be more urban related than country. Might be like the same thing, but just more urban.
Okay.
All right. That will do it though for TV of 1987. Yay! All right. And now there's actually a handful of oh god. All right. Here we go. Video games of 1987. All right. And for on December 18th for video games in 1987, on December 18th of 1987 in Japan, the game Final Fantasy is released. Huge deal in Japan. Became a huge hit. There was a rumor going around that it was named Final Fantasy because the game didn't work. The company was going to go under. And that may have been true in some respects, but I think as it wasn't entirely accurate, they were going to be, it wasn't the real reason for it. It was more of an alliteration thing. And Final Fantasy sounded good. So yeah.
Yeah, it does sound pretty cool.
In March, for the NES, the game Contra came out. Contra.
Love that game.
The Konami code became famous because of Contra, because it was so fucking hard that you couldn't beat it at all unless you had the code. And
it gave you like 30 lives or something like that.
30 lives. It gave you a fighting chance. Because if you didn't have those 30 lives, you would certainly lose them. I mean, you literally had to beat the first like half of the game not dying at all and expend all the rest of your lives. Another game that came out in 1987, a classic on October 18th, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out came out for the Nintendo. That's a classic game. Tyson's one of the toughest fighters in that game. The toughest fighter in the game. Like he hits you.
Right, yeah, he's the final boss.
He's the main guy.
He's the final boss. It's like Mortal Kombat.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And he makes Shang Tsung look like a bitch. Like with one punch and you're done. He punches you out. For the arcade in December 1987, Street Fighter made its debut in the arcade in December of 87. Yeah, that was a big hit. In October for the Sega Master System, Afterburner came out. It's a simulation for flying planes and whatnot. I remember it being a lot of fun when I was a kid. But yeah. On December, for the Nintendo Entertainment System, Mega Man is released in 1987. Mega Man, another side-scroller, a lot of fun. Went on to have like 100 sequels. Mega Man, really good game. On April 22nd for the Nintendo Entertainment System, Double Dragon is released. Double Dragon. I played this game a lot. It's cool because it's a 2-player game. You were the brothers. The movie is a whole other thing, but at least for Double Dragon, it was pretty good. It was a fun beat 'em up. One of the original fun beat 'em ups. And finally, for the arcade, I didn't realize this. My first hockey game I ever played in October for the arcade. Blades of Steel was released. Blades of Steel. Classic.
Oh.
Had like Chicago, Minnesota, and a bunch of other teams. Some teams don't exist at all. But to get in a fight, you'd have to just run into the player 3 times on the ice and hear this. Start fighting. It was good. And then you have, and then just like this crowd. It sounds like a
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you gotta love those old video game sound effects.
But I played that a lot. Blades of Steel.
Classic
game. All right. We'll get to the worst video games of 1987. There's actually 2. There's 2 of them.
Has this ever happened before?
Yeah, we've had a couple, but not often.
We've had. Oh, okay. We've had ones where we've had 2 bad, 2 of the worst. Oh, okay.
Absolutely. But it's only happened like maybe 2 or 3 times, maybe. I don't remember. But for the worst video games of worst video games of 1987, for the Nintendo Entertainment System, Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest, made famous by the video game nerds rant about it.
Yeah, that was his first episode, I believe.
Yep, where he just talks about how this game is a piece of shit, and it is. Where every time it goes to night, it's like, oh no, the horror of nighttime is here, and it takes forever for the text to get through. Other things like quest lines and like talking to people in town that give you valuable information. If you accidentally hit A, you skip the whole thing, and you can't ever find out what it was they were talking about. But letting you know it's going to night, you can't skip it all. You have to do the whole thing. Oh god. And the scene, you have to like kneel down in the corner and have like a green crystal or blue crystal selected with something else selected in your menu, and you have to wait like 15 seconds for a tornado to come by and take you to the next part of the game. If you don't know to do that, you can't beat the game. Yeah, it's so fucking random. It's so crazy. You might be able to
I don't think anything tells you that either in the game, right?
I'll say maybe one of the people in the village, you can piece it together. But if you accidentally skip it, you won't know.
Right.
There's also parts in the game where the floor is not actually there. It just looks like it's there. And the only way to find out if it's a pitfall is to endlessly throw holy water in front of you. And so you just basically spend your time doing that, hoping not to fall through. And if you hit water, you die because you can't swim, obviously. And the ending boss, Dracula, doesn't look anything like Dracula. It looks like the Grim Reaper. And to beat him, basically, you just use this flame thing you've been using for half a game anyway. You put it down where he's at, and he just gets burned repeatedly until he dies, and it's over. And that's the end of the game. It's a shitty game. It's a really, really bad game. But maybe the worst game of 1987. Made by the gaming company LJN, I believe is the name of the company. The Rainbow LJN, I think.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Nintendo Entertainment System in November released the game Jaws. We owned this game. I played this game.
Oh, of course you did.
And oh my god, it's terrible. There's one level. You just have one ship that you go from port to port, just one port or 2 ports together. You go one to the next. You go around and you collect like seashells for currency, and you do that by killing creatures. They're all the same creatures. There's like a jellyfish. There's like a stingray. Like little baby sharks, whatever.
Oh man, I remember this game. I liked this game when I was a kid.
Right. You didn't have any that you're going to run into, just like a random battle. You just be floating around all of a sudden and be like, oh, you hit something, and then you have to go in and make your way out. And you basically just shoot shit for a while until the game decides, okay, you've had enough, and takes you back. That's it. There's no inclination, or there's nothing letting you know what's going on. Sorry, Brad, go ahead.
Oh, I'm watching a gameplay of it right now, and yeah, pretty it's just monotonous, just shooting shit and then moving and shooting shit.
Yeah, we could never beat it. We would see Jaws would show up, and it was this huge shark in the game, and you couldn't do anything about it. Then we finally realized that you had to level up your power in order to be strong against Jaws. And then you get it, and finally you get to the end of the game, and you go to fight Jaws, and the end of the game is based off Jaws 4: The Revenge, where you shock the shark and get him to jump out of the water. But then you have to take the boat and stab him in the gills. But it's so off. Like, it's not timed well. It doesn't look right. So you have to like almost stab the shark when you don't think you should be stabbing the shark in order to actually stab the shark. So as a kid, you're trying to do it when you think you would do it, but it doesn't work at all. And you only get so many opportunities before you have to start basically like all over again. And we just never beat the game. Never did. If we did, I don't remember it. It's a terrible fucking game.
Do you know how long it takes to beat this game?
It could take like 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
No, half an hour.
Half an hour.
Yeah, but the video of the long play, and it's 32 minutes long.
It's basically nothing, and we could never beat it as kids because it sucked. So yeah, that was the worst video game of 1987. All right, and that will do it for our review of the year 1987. This has been a longer one,
nice,
about 2.5 hours, I'd say, maybe almost. But thank you so much for joining us. Anything to add before we close it up here?
No, really.
No.
All right. And with that, I hope you enjoyed listening to our podcast and will join us again for another installment of History with Hersefat. Don't forget to hydrate, like, and exercise, to all that shit. I don't have the note in front of me, so I can't remember exactly how to end this. So this is
also subscribe as well. Subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. Do that.
Like, comment, all that stuff.
Whole thing. All right.
Listen to all the episodes multiple times.
Absolutely.
Just put them on repeat while you go to bed.
That's what you should do.
Or at work.
Absolutely.
Make multiple Spotify accounts and just play it constantly.
All right. With that, I hope you enjoyed listening to our conversation and will join us again for another installment of History with Hersefat. Don't forget to hydrate, exercise, and to like and subscribe to the podcast. All these things are essential for your health and well-being. Take care of yourselves and each other.